It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Yes! Yes! Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
It is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbatkin. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 7 of Season 7. Wow, we're past the halfway point. I'm your host, David Harbatkin, joined by the Commissioner of the Hackettstown Hagglers, Mr. Gay Zalutski.
What's up, people? Fuck you, Kenny Galladay. Nice try.
Manny will be joining us later. Actually, he'll be our interview for the week. We've decided to be lazy and just interview him. And then he'll probably join us for the final segment of the show where we predict next week's games. But in the meantime, we're going to go over last week's games, of which there were some exciting ones. And where do you think we should start?
Well, let's go over the least exciting one, the blowout of the week. Let's go over Hackettstown's finest, smearing the Monkeys, who for some reason gave away their whole roster, and now they're starting to regret that, I think.
Yeah, I don't understand what happened there. I mean, now granted, Cooper Kupp did not have that great a week where he was traded, but still, like, what? I don't understand what he did there. He imported Dr. Hockey's injuries by getting a tight end who's now apparently out. Is it the season? Well, he's a torn Achilles. That doesn't sound too good. He wrote to me in the middle of it, I should have bought the Wakanda Mutual Insurance when I traded with him, which I guess you should. But anyway, yes, so the Hackettstown's finest defeat the Memphis Monkeys 143.12 to 98.84. The Monkeys had 38 from Matt Ryan, only 3.7 from Marvin Jones Jr., 7.7 from Valdez Scantling. Dalvin Cook, a pedestrian, 13.4, 13.5 from James White, who actually outplayed Dalvin Cook in this game. Disley, as we mentioned, had 0 points and a torn Achilles. Sounds like a Wakanda player to me. Jordan Landry had 6.6 points. Crosby, the kicker, with 12 and 3 for the Chargers defense. For Hackettstown's finest, 23.32 points for Rodgers, 16.5 for Hopkins, 23.8 for Curtis Samuel. He had a really good game.
Out of the garbage bag, mind you. He just picked him up at random.
Yeah. Nick Chubb, the newly traded for Nick Chubb, who's just been, moved around. 28.9 points for him as he seems to debut really well with teams. 4 points for M. Brown. Which Brown is this? Matthew? This is Malcolm Brown. Wow, Malcolm Brown, the running back. He finally went away from a wide receiver Brown, and now he's adding his running back Browns to the thing. Two running, so he has a Brown and a Brown. What has Brown done for you lately? 9.8 from Kelsey, 5.8 from Eckler, who is now, I guess on the shorter end of the stick with Gordon, although I don't think Gordon had that great a game either. 21 from Prater. Wow, look at that. A kicking performance on Monday night, and 10 points from the Washington defense. Absolutely no bench blunders. In fact, had he played Marcus Mariota, that would have been one. I don't know what's happening here with the Monkeys.
Well, they had a Hagler-like reaction. If you look at the transactions, they jettisoned a shitload of players. Most of its roster's actually gone.
Yeah, I don't. But even before then, so he trades away Cooper Kupp in order to pick up Saquon. We'll see when he's available. Even, is he still? He has a chance to play this week. I don't know. We'll see if it pays off for him. Here's the thing that, if you're going to invest in the longer term, like right now, Team Hartford Voldemort could invest in somebody like a Saquon. I mean, he's got a record where you could just kind of sit on it and start building for the future. If you're the Monkeys, you're at the bottom. It's kind of difficult to be able to do, you don't have the time or the space to be able to do these kinds of things because, losses like this can occur and it becomes difficult whether or not, or it becomes difficult to make the playoffs. And if he does make the playoffs, or if he's in the playoff, I mean, like, what good does it do if he doesn't make the playoffs to have Saquon? Great, you have Saquon for a few weeks and, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. You don't have the luxury to dabble when you're, now 2-4. So now you got to get on it a little bit. Hopefully he's going to drop all those players and, I don't know, make some moves in free agency to pick up somebody new or trade offers. I don't know. We'll see
he's got some money. For Manny, I mean, once again, another good score. 143 is definitely respectable, and he's going to need a respectable game as he has a very difficult one coming up next week, the big game of the week. But
he's got the game of the week.
Yeah. But at this point, he's starting. I mean, look, Nick Chubb certainly helps with the Eckler situation. With the injury to Gurley, who knows what's happening there? Malcolm Brown, he's also questionable, not doing that well. I mean, he's starting to have some running back problems. And Hopkins, while he had a good game, I don't know how long that's sustainable. Samuel has not had that many games like this. Kelsey is underperforming. He's a good team, but, he's certainly been one of the better ones. But, I mean, there's some trouble signs on the road.
Yeah, there's definitely, you can see some areas of concern.
Yeah.
He actually traded away Austin Hooper, and he's having a little bit more, performance returns than Kelsey thus far, but it's the Chiefs offense. They're going to get Tyreek Hill back. They're going to get it rolling, but the last couple games, Kelsey has been underwhelming.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, still a win. He's still, at the top of the pack. In fact, even further up in the pack than he was previously. So, good win for him. And the Monkeys, this loss hurts, but he still has some time to catch up because there's a lot of teams down at the bottom, and there's a lot of teams that are fighting for a few playoff spots, and he's not one of the ones that's complete garbage right now. So I mean, he might be actually after.
How flattering!
I know. At least the record.
We get such a bad rap on the show for being enemies of the people.
Yeah, I know we are. I wonder why.
One for 3 hours. Spend 3 hours just trashing everyone. No, we actually have good advice for the league if you want to listen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there might be some mild mocking along with it.
Yes, there's some witty banter, but whatever. It's all in good spirits.
Yeah, exactly. Who should we go to next?
Okay, so we had the blowout of the week. Do you even want? Well, let's go to another game. The Lightning Rods and Eugene. So, Lightning Rods definitely gets his props. He went off after you beat the shit out of him. Well, he's had enough of that. Eugene, unfortunately, bore the brunt of it. I mean, his score would have beaten anybody, but an angry Lightning Rods came out and dished it out. He wasn't even playing games. So, unfortunately, this drops the champ to 1-5. But Lightning Rods, he's a force to be reckoned with. I wouldn't mess with this guy.
I know. So, yeah, Lightning Rods wins 179.60 to 152.22. In a week that was it was a middle of the pack scoring week. I mean, he just blew the doors off of everybody else. And the thing is like, if you actually take his point total for the last 2 weeks and combine them, and you even take my point, and I got over 200 last week, he's almost competing on the level of points in the aggregate over the 2 weeks. So he did not like what happened to him last week. And woo. All right. So Russell Wilson for the Lightning Rods, Russell Wilson gets 32.9 points, 7.6 from Woods. Diggs with 43.5, 26.2 from Elliott, 15.5 from Lindsay. Font gets 3.6. That's a lowercase font right there. 20 from Edelman, 7 from Butker, and 23 from the Denver defense. I mean, this is a week where he didn't have his Chicago defense, by the way, and he still gets 23 points from the defense. I mean, the man just knows how to pick defenses, I guess. I don't know what to say. Chicago's all, if you could stream a defense to get 23 points on the 1 week where you need them, Chicago's almost wasted on your team because you have the skills to be able to go get yourself a defense. Like let those of us who are terrible at streaming defenses give us a chance. All right. Over to Dave's Secret Crush. Kirk Cousins with an impressive 36.32 points, 17.7 to Thielen. The problem in this game is that Cousins threw all of those touchdowns to Diggs. His opponent, Amari Cooper, with only 1.3 points. Chris Carson with 25.9. 18.2 from Miles Sanders. Look at that. 10.7 from Witten. 25.10 from Godwin. Thank Godwin, he played Godwin. 8 from Myers and 9 from Minnesota. On the bench, he did leave Mike Evans with 20 points. And had he played those 20 points instead of Amari Cooper, he still would have lost. But it would have been closer. Yeah, I mean, what do you say? I mean, this is if you're like, first of all, last week I said that Eugene's record at 1-4 was bad, but he was coming into a part of his schedule where he had some winnable games, and don't be surprised that if after that he's right back in the thick of this, in the thick of things, with games against the likes of Zamunda and whatnot. So this loss is just devastating because it gives him that fifth loss. He can still go on a run, but by the time, first of all, it would just take him a month to get back to 500. And then after, and that's with winning everything and making no mistakes. If he claws his way back to 500, he still can only afford really 2 more losses all season long. So if he runs into any kind of speed bump, he's in it's difficult for him. I'm not saying that it's over because it's not, but this is just a devastating loss for him.
Well, I mean, this goes hand in hand with last week's 1-point loss to the Monkeys. I mean, where he just needed a fucking point.
Yeah.
And this just exacerbates the situation because that could have been a win. This certainly should have been a win if he's just a victim of lightning rods going off. He's not having any of that. Getting beat 209, not having any of that. And unfortunately, Eugene bore the brunt of it. But, he's, like you said, 1-5. The margin for error right now is almost 0. Because what's our magic for him? At 7 losses, and you're basically out of the playoff hunt. 6 and 7 will most likely not get you in. Yeah. So he's right. He's got to run the table to go 8-5.
Or 7 and 6 will get you in with points, but the other thing is he doesn't have that bad a team. I mean, we make fun of him often because it's fun, but look at the point totals that he's put up the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. He has the ability to put up points. Mm-hmm. This is a team that you don't want to face come the end. This is not somebody that you just go, oh, it's this team. Don't be fooled by his record. He is not that bad a team. He's actually a pretty good team. But yeah, between the Monkeys last week and the Lightning Rods this week, my God, he's just been, he caught L's at it. And then you think about how those couple of, points, well, the point last week and then, his matchup this week, you look at the difference. That's if you change 2 in the other direction, what is that? 3 and 3? He's 3 and 3. He's and you actually legitimately are worried about him.
Yep, you're right in the middle of the pack with some easy games coming up. You could easily be 5-3, and
you could be competing for. I mean, it probably at that point it's still difficult to get one of the buys, but I mean, you're certainly competing for a playoff spot at 3-3. But yeah, no. Now he's. I mean, like I said, it's not impossible, but the margin for error is nil or 1.
Yeah, you're just putting yourself in a spot with the Zamunda Lions and the garbage barge. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in. You really, the margin for error, that's the key. It's like it's really very, very slim.
Yeah. And for the Lightning, I was, oh wow, Manny's joined us early.
Hey. How are you doing?
Good.
So we are already in the middle. You're on the air. You go straight on the air. We've only covered one game so far. Well,
okay.
This is the second game that we're covering. We're in the middle of the Dave's Secret Crush versus Lightning Rod's game, and we were just talking about how Dave's Secret Crush has just been kind of snake bitten the last couple weeks, because I mean his record is 1-5, but it doesn't necessarily reflect how the team has performed.
Right.
The other game that we covered was yours, so whatever. Unless you have anything to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we already went over your blowout of the Monkeys. There's not much to say. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. All right. Well, since you're back on, let's you could pick the next game that you want to do, other than those.
All right. Let's go over the Hagglers game.
Okay, let's go over the Hagglers. Well, this is actually an interesting game.
Yeah, very interesting game until the very last second, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I did not watch the Monday night game. This is part of the luxury of not having to play in it, is that you could just kind of sleep through it. But I did know that this was going to be close. So you finished on Sunday night, if I'm correct, right?
I was done on Sunday night, yep.
Right, and how many he needed? He was at Nick and Jamie.
108. It's like 120 to 108.
Right, so they needed 21 points from Galladay. He ended up with 17.10. So, in total, the Hackstown Hagglers win 129.30 to 125.44 against Nick and Jamie. For Nick and Jamie, 25.4 points from Wentz, 17.10, as we just mentioned, from Galladay, 23.6 from Jeffrey. Henry only 4.3. Devonta Freeman with 26.80. 7.3 from Walker. 14.8 from Ridley. 6 from Lambeau. And 0 from the Arizona defense. For the Hagglers, 15.6 from Bridgewater. So when he's not on your team, he fucks you out of field goal range. When he's on your team, he fucks you with a lack of points. 12.9 from Larry Fitzgerald. 25 from Tyreek Hill, the newly acquired Tyreek Hill. 12.3 from Le'Veon Bell. 13 from Drake's Cakes. 25.7 from Hooper. 8.8 from Gallup. 8 from Lutz. And 8 from the Seattle defense. So Hackettstown did very well in this game, and I'm not necessarily even talking about the Hagglers.
Yeah. I mean, so we had a deal going. We had Chubb and Evan Ingram for the Giants, who was out with an injury, went out. And we imported Hill, Hooper, and Gallup. Gallup was a little concerning with his stone hands, as Manny chuckled afterwards. He's like, ha 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 ha, good luck with that guy. But Hooper and Hill more than made up for it, so I was very pleased with that. Yes.
Yeah, Chubb was good for me, and he got me a win too. So I think it helped both of us out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are some. I was saying this the other day. There are some trades that just fill a need that each team has, and it's not. I know some people want all trades to be viewed as winners and losers, but in some cases, they help out both teams. They can, and this certainly could be a circumstance like that. I was given a trade offer this morning that wouldn't have been that.
What was the trade offer?
think it was Michael Thomas and Adrian Peterson, who I flushed down the toilet. You picked out of the toilet and then reflushed down the toilet, and then was repicked out of the toilet to try to be delivered to me in exchange for McCaffrey.
Oof. Wow. Oof. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, like, I didn't want to just reject it. I wanted to give him the courtesy of having an equally fair trade. So I countered for Michael Thomas for Swaim. He then countered Justin Tucker, the kicker, for McCaffrey, and then I countered the Dallas defense for Thomas, and I think that's where the negotiations ended.
You guys need to stop wasting your time.
I was waiting for a hearing. It was fine. Anyway, so yes, good game there. For Geese, you needed this one. I mean, first of all, it would have been tremendously embarrassing to lose to the garbage barge.
After I've been trash talking them all season. And by the way, let's go into the details of this game. After the first quarter, Nick and Jamie's whole team had 0. Okay? After the first quarter of competitive play, they had 0 points. I was hooping it up with our back and laughing like, this is a joke. And then all of a sudden in the second quarter, they turned it on.
Yeah.
Well, Nick and Jamie love coming to Hackettstown. That's for sure.
Yep.
Did they give you? Did they?
Man, that's the only loss in week 1, right?
Really?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right. They do.
Yep.
They like Hackettstown Harbor.
You do have to remember, Nick and Jamie was first place after week 1. They scored the most points in the league.
Yes, that's true. I mean, we called them the garbage barge. They embarrassed us. We started calling them a cruise ship, and then they showed their true
colors.
Their true colors.
Yeah.
Well, close, but yeah, Hill and
Well,
Hooper.
Galladay had a great first half, and I think the first play was like a 65-yard catch and run.
So I heard.
And I don't know what happened in the second half, but I mean, I thought it was a sure thing that the Haglers would lose after that catch.
I think you did too, Geese. Didn't you go to sleep after like?
Sleep actually. I was exhausted and demoralized because surely they can get 5 at the halftime. They're only down by 5 points or 7 points or something stupid like that. So you figure with his ridiculous first half, this one was in the bag. But that's why they play the games.
Yeah.
One thing I have to comment on is who picks up the Arizona defense? Unless you're playing Miami, I think that was a coaching blunder.
Absolutely.
I think that's the coaching blunder that lost them the game. Because at one point, Matt Ryan hit Ridley for the touchdown, and they went ahead, and then they went right back behind because they had the Arizona defense.
I mean, you have to know that Atlanta, their defense is terrible, but their offense actually has some good players. You know, they have Julio. Matt Ryan is a former MVP. I mean, they're not a terrible offense. Their defense is atrocious, but, you know, don't play the Arizona defense. Come on.
This is a strategy I'll never understand. Why do you take the defense that goes against your opposing people? What is the gain from it? I don't understand. It just seems like buffoonery.
I mean, but did they do that though? I mean, who do they have that's on Atlanta? They don't have any. Oh, Freeman.
Yeah, Devontae Freeman.
Oh, and Calvin Ridley. I guess
scored. Their defense plummeted.
Yeah, but I mean, like, are you not going to take the Miami defense because you have Drake's Cakes? Come on. I mean, not the Miami defense. The opponent of the Miami defense.
It's questionable. I don't do that.
It's not even questionable. You would take the defense. Trust me, if they were playing Miami.
I just wouldn't play Drake's Cakes.
I could. I mean, who else is on your team? I don't even know. You could do the same thing. Whoever's playing the New Orleans defense because we have Will Lutz. In fact, that's when you want the defense there. It all depends. It all depends on the situation. I'm not questioning the fact that they're doing, that they're playing a defense that's against their own players. I'm just saying, why? I mean, because it's in some ways an insurance policy. I'm just saying, why pick the Arizona defense against Atlanta? I mean, the Arizona defense is not that great to begin with, and then second of all, Atlanta puts up points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and how many points? I mean, they played Cincinnati. Cincinnati, who was even worse than Atlanta the week before and had 0 points. If that's not a sign to you, that's... I mean, Cincinnati, who gave up how many sacks and fumbles and interceptions and whatever else the week before to Pittsburgh? How many points did the Pittsburgh defense have against Cincinnati 2 weeks prior?
Like 19 or almost 20. I needed 20, they got 19.
Exactly. They almost won the game for you on Monday night. And then that same Cincinnati team goes up against Arizona, and the Arizona team gets 0. And you go, yeah, let me pick those guys up. That's why they're the garbage barge.
Well, ironically enough, they're the innovators of Defensive Digest last year.
They are. They've always been the ones that have been, super scared. I don't know what. I mean, I guess they're reading crap out of the trash. I don't know what's going on there.
They canceled the subscription to Defensive Digest.
I guess so. I don't know, because they're normally the most savvy, the most on the wire. Like, I just don't know what's happening in North Carolina this year. I don't know.
Well, maybe they'll be on the show next week after we thoroughly trash their team together.
Yeah, well, let's try to make that happen. Okay, so moving on to the next game. There's really not even that many. Let's just do my game. Who cares? The 1603ers beat the Wakanda Panthers 121.24 to 94.02. Well, first of all, this is a very meh game for me. I did have Waller on a bye. Whatever. Lamar Jackson gets 30.64 points, 15.6 for DJ Moore. Will Fuller with 9.4. McCaffrey with 21.7 against Tampa Bay. 14.1 from Kerryon Johnson. 1.5 from Swaim. Breda with 10.3. Swaim, who is available, by the way. Breda, 10.3 points. 15 from Sly. And only 3 from the Dallas defense against the Jets. For Wakanda... out of the team that they were able to field, and once again their bench has 0 other than Andy Dalton, so he decided to go with Minshew, and they made Minshew meet of him. 5.6 points from him. Not only did he have an injury during once he picked him up, I feel like there was some kind of hip injury that happened, and then of course he traded away Disley, who he's lucky because that would have been his next injury. Cooper Kupp comes to the team and only gets 5.7. 3.4 from I don't know which Deontay Johnson on this there. Mark Ingram got 15.4 points. Okay, that's respectable. 13.3 from Sony Michel, which happened on Thursday night. 9.2 from Greg Olsen. 4.4 from Pringles. Once you pop, I guess you can't stop. 10 from his kicker, and then his best player, the only one that's not injured, the 27 points from the New England defense on Thursday night.
Okay, when your defense is getting a third of your points, you're in trouble.
I mean, yeah, and literally, this is the best team he could have fielded. Well, he could have. If he would have played Dalton, he would have gotten 10 more points than this. So he at least would have eclipsed the 100-point mark.
His trade for Cooper Kupp isn't looking very good right now.
No, so the thing is, so he trades for Cooper Kupp to have him. Clearly because he traded Saquon away, so he's clearly playing for the now. He's trading away players that will help him in the future for the now because he just wants to win now, and then he doesn't even win now.
well, the problem with Pringles is if any savvy coach knows that once Tyreek Hill is announced as active, Pringles goes right down the shitter. You got to get rid of him. But at that point, I don't know if hockey could have picked anybody. He could have. I don't know. Whatever. You got to coach at some point. You can't just throw people. And the other guy from Pittsburgh, I guess, like you said, he wasn't even eligible to play anybody else. Like, look at the bench. I mean, there's just nobody.
Yeah.
Just nobody, unless you want to start tossing these guys out into free agency, which you'll never get them back. Maybe hockey just decided to take his lumps and play for next week.
I'm pretty sure he could trade for Pringle and not have to worry about ever getting him back. I mean, I'm sure. There must have been somebody that was available somewhere. I don't. I mean, look. I feel. I mean, you can't. I mean, how can you can't criticize hockey in this point because it's just. I mean, I guess he's just snake bit. I mean, Minshew the week before, Minshew threw 25 points, 20, 21, and 18, and 22. This week he throws 5 once hockey picks him up. I mean, Cooper Kupp, look at his numbers. Cooper Kupp, 11, 17, 33, 26, 26, and then he comes to hockey's team, 5. I mean, what do you say? Players just don't want to play for Wakanda.
Look, by the time he gets everybody back, he's going to be well out of the playoffs, so he's going to be a beastly spoiler.
He will be, but I've never seen anything like this. I mean, this
is crazy.
I mean, people. I guess the players are just terrified to play on this team. They're too afraid to catch the ball. I don't know. They're like, they see what happened to everybody else. They're like, oh no, I'm gonna die. Yeah.
I think if you replay our week 2 podcast when we were analyzing the teams, we said Wakanda has by far and away the best team in the league.
They did.
Which was crazy.
I mean, their bench is phenomenal.
More appealing than their starting lineup.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, Saquon's gone now, but I mean, their bench was phenomenal. But I mean, how snake bit can you be for a season? Where not only does everybody get injured. I mean, I think this might be the first week where none of his players have been injured mid-game. but everybody has their worst week. I mean, Cooper Kupp has his worst week. I mean, this guy has been getting near 30 points every week. Minshew Magic. He's been fantastic. And it's not even... I mean, who did he play? New Orleans?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson had 40 points on him. I don't know. I don't know what to say. He's probably in a Joker-like padded room, just not understanding what you could do at this point. It would drive me mad. This season would just drive me mad, not knowing what to do.
Yeah, I mean, next week he's matched up against Eugene in an absolute do or die. Loser.
Yeah, because they'll
have
have
this interesting game. You're gonna have a battle for first place and essentially a battle for last place.
Well, there's worse teams. Speaking of which, let's just move on to that game, which is the team that will be in last place, the Zamunda Lions. Who got a little bit uppity. So Tillett Trey wins this game 121.16 to 113.78 over the Zamunda Lions. The Zamunda Lions had 18.8 from Dak Prescott, only 1 point from Emmanuel Sanders. Whoa.
Yeah, he got out of Hackettstown just in time.
Yeah. Auden Tate gets 14.1. Kamara 13.6. James Conner, I trade him away, and look what happens. He basically almost brought Nick into a respectable whatever with 30.9 points. Kittle finally. I mean, has Kittle been getting the numbers? I haven't even really been paying attention. No, Kittle's been fine. He continues to be fine. 18.3 points for him. Josh Gordon with 1.75 for Nugent and 11 for the New Orleans defense. For Tillett, 22.96 for Brady on Thursday night. 18.8 from Julio Jones. 12.2 from one of the Williams over at the Chargers. Mike Williams, I think it is. 28.2 from David Johnson. 17.8 from Fournette. He actually has a very good running back core. Garrett Everett, the tight end from the Rams, gets 2.9, 7.3 from Chark, 1 from Zerline, and 10 from the San Francisco defense. So, Yeah, Connor almost brought the Zamunda Lions back. He's now questionable again, which I was like, I looked at, because Nick like texted something like, I might actually win this game or something, and then I looked it up, and he was getting closer. He ended up not, and I think Connor went down with a quad injury, because I was like questioning myself. Oh, did I make the wrong move? Why did I trade him if he's gonna do that? And then I saw the quad injury, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why. He was constantly making me nervous that he was gonna get injured. So, I mean, good for Zamunda for making it a game, giving the fans something to pay for. But Tillett Trey continues to be definitely one of the contender teams. While the pretenders, the pretender conference is locked up by the Zamunda Lions.
Well, Zamunda has a stranglehold on last place. It's going to be hard to rip that out of his hands.
Yes.
So going back to Emmanuel Sanders, he had 28 points when I traded Nick. In the next 4 games, he's amassed 21. Maybe you got to stop.
Yeah. I mean, also to think, just what Nick's team would be like if he didn't make these, any trades. I certainly don't think he'd be in last place.
I mean, Hackettstown just gets players and deals them right away, right to somebody else. Like, we don't have time to wait for a guy to get 1 point a game for the next 4 games. Absolutely not. You get 1 point, you're out of here. So, some of these should be red flags for Nick Severi. He's got to move these players out of here.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, his ability to draft play. I mean, he picked up Phillip Rivers after you dropped him. I don't know. Picked up O.J. Howard. He still has got Gronk sitting on his bench. It's not happening, man. It's not happening. What I mean, look.
The guy works for Fox now.
Brady won't lure Gronk out of retirement is the headline. Brady said Rob Gronkowski is the only person who can decide whether he returns. Yeah, he's a Fox studio analyst. I mean, why not?
He's looking a lot like Dr. Hockey. He's going to be a hell of a spoiler in 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, I know. Why don't you even... I know, you need wins now. Why are you holding on to Gronk? I mean, if he happens to go to somebody else, then he happened to go to somebody else. I mean, it's almost like he's chasing the, ha-ha, I knew it. Like, great, you're still in last place. Like why not hire Terry Bradshaw and Phil Simms and Strahan? Yeah, Strahan's still available. Like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, offer Tillett Trey a trade for Antonio Brown.
Yeah, why not? Add Antonio Brown. I saw there were pictures of him working out. I think somebody posted somewhere. Hopes his playing status is cleared up in the next few weeks. There you go. Yeah, go get these guys. In the meantime, you're gonna be. I mean, like, there has to be some point where you play for the now. There are the teams that can play for the later. You don't have that luxury when you are 1-5. You just don't.
There's no rebuilding in fantasy football. It doesn't exist. It's a win now only.
But if you are undefeated at this point and you want to take a chance on a Saquon, which may hurt you like this week or maybe for 2 weeks or whatever, you have the buffer to be able to do that if you want to build for the playoffs and have like a beatdown team. But if you're if you're you have no luxury to be able to do that if you're in last place. You just got to stop. You need the players that are going to play now. Stream week to week. I don't care, but there is no excuse to have Rob Gronkowski on your team.
Yeah, you just gotta that's a questionable move.
Another thing is, why is Mike Nugent your kicker? I mean, come on, he misses like every 30-yard field goal. That guy.
Does he? I don't even know. I'm not even questioning the kicker at this point.
I watched the Thursday night game, and he's terrible. I mean, even the field goals that he makes, he barely makes. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, he might cost the Patriots the Super Bowl this year because that's
fantastic.
a big downgrade from Gostowski.
That would be fantastic. I mean, who else does he have on the? I mean, O.J. Howard is taking up a bench spot on this team. You have Kittle. Why is O.J. Howard taking up a bench spot when your wide receiver 1 is getting 1 point? I just don't.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
And then you got to look at another thing. These teams, like the Memphis Monkeys, why are you sitting on $201 free agent dollars?
I know.
And then Zaveri, 177. I mean, this is money that needs to be spent now. Okay. I mean, like, again, you don't have the luxury. You're 1-5. Your bench has people like Rob Gronkowski on it. Why are you sitting on $177, man? Spend some money, get somebody.
Yeah, where do you think? What do you think is going to be available that's going to save your season for that whooping $100, that crisp, shiny $100 bill at Thanksgiving when you're eating turkey and you're at home because you have no chance to playoffs at that point? I mean, you are on the brink. You are on the brink right now. You are, Zamunda 1-5. Look, unlike Eugene, who I think actually still has a good team and perhaps can make a run, but I mean, the loss last week pretty much makes it just because of record makes it almost impossible, but still doesn't speak to the quality of the team. Zamunda just looks terrible, and they're 1-5. I believe their next 2 matchups against the Hagglers and then against the 1603ers. They could be out by Halloween.
Right, because 7 losses is what. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that. Nick Saveri has some really tough games coming up. You got to make some moves. You can't just. I don't know.
I mean, by all means, keep Gronk. I'm playing you in 2 weeks. Play Gronkowski against me. I don't care. I'm just saying. Please do. In fact, I was pissed that Cooper Kupp had to come this week because I was like, oh no. But then I saw what he did and I was like, oh, it's fine. But nonetheless, I don't know. Or maybe just because it's not like it's not like you have a rebuilding year. We redraft next year. I mean, yes, you're playing for $5 a game, so keep going. Try to win some games. I don't know what to say. I mean, but while you still have an opportunity to at least try to make a playoff run, try to make a play. Do whatever you can. Throw out all the stops. Spend $178 tonight. Go hog wild. Get yourself a DVD player, a Blu-ray, whatever you need, a Blu-ray player. I don't care. Just you need something.
$178 on who, though?
I don't know, but Gordon is not going to cut it. I mean, who? I don't know. Lazard? I don't care. Just get somebody. I don't know. Who are the number 1 available wide receivers in this league? Sanu, Samuel, get Metcalf. I don't care. Whatever. I mean, none of them sound good, but find out what your needs are and go do it. Do the research yourself.
I mean, if you have Rob Gronkowski on your bench, you might as well have Jerry Rice, too.
I know. Montana to Rice. I hear it's a great fantasy combo.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, so is that all the games? Oh no, there's one more game. I forgot. There's the one game with one of the teams that we're not allowed to talk about.
Love how you said that. Is that all the games? Like that was completely harmless, but it's going to be viewed sinisterly.
Of course it will. Because we are the enemy of the people. What can I say? Did you read my apology on behalf of this podcast?
Oh my God, that was awesome.
All right, so in the final game of the week, the St. Louis Blues lose 106 to 124.60. The Blues, led by Patrick Mahomes with 25.82 points, Odell Beckham with 16.1, Keenan Allen with only 5.3, 8 points from Aaron Jones, 14.1 from Tevin Coleman, 13.9 from Andrews, Melvin Gordon with 7.8, Bryant with 10, and Baltimore with 5. They left 18 points on the bench with Carlos Hyde. For their opponents, 33.40 points from Watson, 12.8 from Lockett, 16.9 from Thomas, 5.9 from Mixon, 9 points, just 9 points from Williams, 7.4 from Ertz, 6.2 from Cooks, 13 from Tucker, and 20 from the Carolina defense. Ironically, this game was won by defense. The Carolina defense, that 20 points, you subtract that, and that ends up being 104 to 106 in favor of the Blues. I mean, your thoughts on the Blues game this week and their loss?
Well, they put up a clunker every now and again. I was worried about the Baltimore players taking a nosedive. A lot of them put up monster points early in the season, and they've really cooled off. I thought Lombardi had a gem in Andrews, but he's really kind of fizzled a little bit. I don't know when Melvin Gordon's going to get it going, but chances are he will. But is the Blues a victim of just bad breaks? Jones last week had, 49 points or something absurd?
Yeah.
I think he finishes with 8. I mean, you got to play him. Coleman, I don't know. He put something on the trading block. He's got a lot of people listed on the trading block. He's looking for wide receivers. Keenan Allen was a beast. I mean, he had 43 points that week. The last 3 weeks, all of these superstars have really fizzled. So I don't know. The Whalers is cruising to a 6-0 record.
Who?
Oh, I'm sorry, the team we can't speak of. It's a whale of a performance, I guess. Whatever. But this team's doing good. I mean, Lombardi didn't really need that much this week. I mean, 124s, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Beat teams with that. But you're putting up 106. I mean, maybe was anybody on a bye? Let's look at the bench. I mean, Trey Barfman was on the bench. I don't think he would have made much of a difference. Yeah, maybe. Well, let's look at if it correlates to free agency dollars spent. Let's take a look at how much money does Lombardi have hoarded. Teams that are hoarding all their money. Let's see. We got Lombardi 154. Maybe it's time to open up that pocketbook a little bit. It doesn't matter who it is. Like that's the same thing with the money. You got to spend some money. You can't just sit on your hoard, your Brewster's Millions. I mean, he's still got a good record, mind you. I mean, it's not the end of the world. He's 4-2. He's in a really good spot, but he's gonna have some tough matchups coming up. If you're putting up clunkers like 106, I mean, there's not many people he would have beaten this week, unless you want to, the Monkeys or Wakanda. You can't play them every week.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is he did get off to a fantastic start. Then last week was the first L, and now he take two L's in a row after a 4-0 start. So it's one of those things where he really has to try to right the ship soon before. I mean, like there's teams that are really bad, so I don't think he's gonna have to worry about not necessarily making. I think he'll make the playoffs. I think that's but he did drop a bunch of points right now, so places, so he needs to be cognizant of that, and
I mean, next week's matchup is against Tilletree. Both of those teams will be 4-2. That'll be a very interesting game as well. We got a lot of interesting matchups.
Yeah, but I mean, he's finally dragged down. I mean, like I've said for a while, I thought that the first and second place teams were not all that. That they just benefited from things like scheduling and stuff like that. I think that's really true of the Blues. I think that their opponent has made a lot of moves. I think that the opponent has shown. I mean, look, they've both shown the capabilities of putting up 170s and stuff, but I I don't know. It's one of these things that these teams, they sometimes catch a good week here and there, but I mean, this is about what their scores have been. You know?
Yep.
I have to say, I'm extremely excited to play the team that we can't talk about next week.
You can't even talk about your opponent.
Yeah, I mean, well, they are. I've we'll certainly get in the later part of the program. But yeah, I mean, it sets up a huge. It's one of the real first. I mean, this was certainly a test. It was a test for both of these teams to see which one would emerge, and now we've seen which one has definitely emerged. There's another test coming next week. I mean, there's no more of an easy schedule. I mean, it seems like finally some teams that are able to win will be facing him, and if this team can.
I mean, we'll talk about it more in the next segment of the podcast, but he's catching some other breaks. One of my better receivers is going to be on a bye week, so
yeah.
It's
I do remember looking at that too, but yeah, we'll talk about that later on. But as far as this game goes, I mean, it was a close game. Kind of disappointing scores there. There seems to be some weakness at running back for Team Voldemort. Whereas the running backs, I mean, look, Gordon should get going. Coleman is fine. I mean, he's uninjured if he is. Mahomes has been average. Beckham got finally back on track. I mean, there are still pieces that the Blues can do well with, and their opponent still has some decent pieces too. It's nothing that lights your hair on fire, but this is. But I mean, you can't. I mean, you look at the record. I mean, what are you going to say?
Yeah, exactly. What are you going to do?
But it does mean that they could potentially be vulnerable. But I mean, the thing is that this is a team that, if given the bye, will be able to maximize, the time off to plot. I mean, because they do have I mean, they've shown their ability to week in and week out do exactly what they need to win. If it needs to be a high scoring game, they play a high scoring game. If it's a low scoring game, they don't expend any extra energy on it. So, but win's a win, and they got one here. So, good for them.
Yep.
All right. So that's going to do it for the first half of the show, I guess. Right now, well, not the first half, the first third. As right now, we're going to take a quick break. Hear from our sponsor, and we'll be back on the other side with our coaches interview for the week. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Is your lineup clogged? Are your running backs getting stuffed? Your receivers getting jammed up? Does your quarterback stink like shit, but just can't seem to get any movement? With Hagler Toilets, you'll get a smooth flush every time. Don't like your quarterback? Flush him. Don't like your wide receivers? Flush them. Don't like your backup tight end? Hell, flush them. Even if you do like the players, flush them anyway. With Hagler Toilets, we make dumping fun. So pick one up today, and you can achieve a full release by the afternoon. Hagler Toilets. Stop giving a shit when your players are crap.
All right, welcome back to the show. And continuing our coaches interview segment, there's no reason why we should be excluded from it. So you can put us on the hot seat and learn a little bit about how we coach and everything else that we're thinking. So this week, the first one to step up to the plate to be our interviewee is the the coach of the Hackettstown's finest, Mr. Manny Friedman.
Thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate it.
No problem. I guess the first, let me ask you a question that Manny would ask, if Manny. So, who are you looking to trade?
I'm looking to trade anyone if you're not if you're going to give me something equitable and something that you think I need. But everyone is on the trading block if I feel like it can make a good impact to my team going forward.
Well, I mean, let's stay on that for a little bit. So, speaking of everyone being on the trading block, I perused the transaction. So, Lombardi put up Gordon, Hyde, Coleman, and Jones as all potential trading candidates. Any of those guys you'd be interested in?
Aaron Jones, if he puts up 47 points like he did against me a couple of weeks ago.
No, not that Jones. He's got Ronald Rojoke.
No, those guys, no.
No? He's looking for a wide receiver. Is that so? You wouldn't be able to, like Melvin Gordon even? That doesn't excite you?
No, you've been in single digits the last couple weeks, so no, you got to be in consistent double-digit territory to be even considered to be trading bait for me.
but then, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up consistent double-digit performers?
Well, I always look at positions. Positions is very important. So running backs and tight ends are the hardest to find. So receivers, you can easily find a good one on the trade waiver wire. So if you're going to trade me, a receiver, if you're going to trade me a running back or a tight end, then I'm willing to give up a little bit more because they're harder to find.
Gotcha.
So I think that's very important to consider. So when I was talking with Eugene, about trading a tight end, he needed a tight end at the time. So, either Kelsey or Hooper. I was looking to get two good receivers because it's harder to find a good tight end than a good receiver. So that's very important to me.
And then going back to the auction, what was your philosophy going? So is this your first auction? I mean, I know you've played fantasy football before this league, but has it all been drafts, or was this your first auction?
I've done snakes in the past, so this is my first auction.
And so first of all, what was your impression of it? And second of all, what was your strategy?
I liked it much more than a snake draft. I think auctions, you can strategize way more. You have an opportunity to get any player. So I think it was much more fun, to be honest with you.
Were you happy who you walked away with? Was there anybody that you were just like, I missed that guy?
I wasn't really thinking like that. I was more looking at people who I didn't really have a full game plan in mind. I just didn't want to spend too much money on anyone because it was my first auction. I was kind of afraid to overpay for someone. I mean, doing it now, I probably would pay more for like someone like McCaffrey. I regret not getting him.
You weren't going to.
if I did it now, I probably would go up to $95, $100 for McCaffrey.
Yeah, I'd go up to 186. So.
But I was looking to get, explosive. I was looking for explosive players. Tyreek Hill, Kelsey. I was looking a lot at the Kansas City offense because of how explosive they are. And always, quarterbacks, kickers, defense. I mean, I was looking to kind of push that on to later. But I didn't really have a full game plan in mind, to be honest with you. I was just looking to get good, explosive pieces for reasonable prices.
And as far as your seasons go, I mean, you already have a phenomenal record. I find which I think is really impressive, because I think when a lot of people come into the Center League, they don't really understand how insanely competitive all of us are. It's almost like they come from, other fantasy leagues where they may dominate, where they may not, where they're good or whatever. But then they come in here and they don't. It's like coming from the minors or college football into the NFL. Like, this is. We're talking about people that have been competing, since 1997. So 22 years of competition. Now, not everybody has been in every competition, but the overall competitiveness amongst, of the organization has been going on for 22 years, and so I like, how do you find the competition level compared to other? I mean, I know you have like a great record, so I mean, like right now it probably seems really great, but
well, I absolutely love it, to be honest with you, and I have to thank Gay Zalewski for inviting me to this league.
Yep.
It's been great because I'm very competitive myself, and
we had a player who dropped out, LeVar Minor, and he'd kind of been okay, but there were some grumblings and dissatisfactions with various parts of the league, and we were looking for a team, and I'm like, all right, you know what, Manny would be perfect, and I knew he was ultra competitive, and he hates to lose, so he really ended up being a great fit for our league.
And and then Hackettstown's Finest. So the name Hackettstown Finest, I'm sure that comes from. Does it actually come from anything police related, or is it just you think that you're better than Geese?
Well, it's actually a term that Geza made up, and we call our kind of drug addict customers Hackettstown's Finest, and it just fits perfectly. They're just complete wastoids.
Law enforcement, and I like how they just tried to muck rate the lawyers.
I don't know, just trying to figure out what it is. I know the hagglers, I know that comes from all the people that are coming in to haggle you at the pharmacy. The 1603ers come from the dorm room.
And Hackettstown's Finest refers to all the wastoids that come in.
So it's actually it's the opposite of what it is. So actually it's
a mockery. Right.
It's the mock finest. And people who have no money, and that's why your symbol is money. Makes total sense now.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all.
It should just be like a Medicaid card. Just make your logo like just the Medicaid card, or some elderly like I've fallen and I can't get up, or a cane.
Well, people on Medicaid piss me off because that's where all our tax money is going. Well, that would be a bad reminder.
Well, I mean, I'm not getting into
more drug use related too. It's not just the old grandma who can't work anymore on Medicaid. We're not animals. It's more the drug infested nightmare.
I know. Right? Yeah. No. Yeah.
All I can say is I don't think any of Hackettstown's Finest are 5-1. I think they're more like Nick and Jamie.
I don't think that any of if what you're referring to is any of Hackettstown's Finest, I'm not sure they've had a win in a long time. So what? Okay, now that Eckler is kind of on the downswing, now that Melvin Gordon is back, are there concerns at running back that you have going forward?
There are. This is why I was desperate to make a trade for a good running back. And I saw that Gaze's team was very kind of weak at wide receiver, and I had pretty good running receivers that I could offer him. I had Gallup at the time. I had Tyreek Hill on my bench. He gave me Hopkins earlier in the year, so I knew that I could kind of piece together a deal with him if we underwent some negotiations, and we actually did. So I think as of last week, they both helped us, and Eckler, Melvin Gordon coming back really concerned me a lot. So him having the potential to be a second tier running back. Also, Gurley not getting as many touches. Having Frank Gore on the bench, but with Singletary coming back, I mean, it was an iffy situation. So I was thrilled to get Chubb, even though I had to give up Tyreek Hill. But I think in the long run, it will help my team.
Yeah. So I guess the blueprint for teams that come into league, it seems like they all really do well in their second season or in their first season, and then the second season they win their championship, and then they become Eugene. Do you foresee that happening to yourself?
I do not plan on making Schefter trade offers. I plan on making good trade offers. I don't know you, Eugene. I'm sure you're a great guy, but I'm an ultra competitive guy, and this is the word of mouth I'm getting, so I'm gonna go by it.
So, do you prefer to trade, or do you prefer to like find players in either the silent auction or in the free agency?
This is really the first year that I've actually traded with anyone in a fantasy football league. I feel like a lot of the trade offers are kind of meant to not really shaft you, but it's really only to benefit the team that's offering the trade. And I always feel like, why are they offering a trade? Is it because this guy is kind of semi-injured? There must be like some reason behind the scene why they're offering a trade, which is why I was always skeptical in the past. But this year, the trade offers I've got from Geza, the only two that I've accepted, I felt like they would help me a lot. And
that's interesting.
I'm happy to
so you haven't traded with anyone other than Gies so far? That's
I have not. Nope. I've made 2 trades with Geza.
Because I know that you've been in negotiations with a lot of players, including those that you interview. No, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way, by the way. Like, I feel like I mean, this is why I rarely trade. But when I do make a trade offer, I at least try to look at what the team... If I'm making the offer, I try to look at what the team needs and, like, what would be fair. Not just, oh, I want that, give me that. Here's garbage. Like, I try to. I find it's not oftentimes reciprocated. Now, granted, if somebody offers me something that's veto-worthy because it's so blatantly unbalanced, thanks, Jamal. I mean, I'm going to take it. But, yeah, no, I know. That kind of thing. I don't know. What else? What other questions do we have?
Are you happy with your team the way it is? You think any more tweaks, or is this you're gonna ride this team to wherever it ends up, championship or bust?
I like having the 2 tight end. That's one thing that I prioritize, having the 2 tight end lineup. Because I like having a tight end at the flex sometimes. Because I just feel like there are not that many good ones out there, and if you have 2 of them, then it's probably, less chance that another team has a good one. So I like having Eckler and Ingram, and I was not really willing to give up Hooper unless I got another good one. I'm still a little bit concerned at running back, especially as my bye weeks approach, and my Gurley is questionable and has kind of an injury-prone history. So that is a little concern. So I'm always looking to add to my running back slot. Now with that Tyreek Hill, I'm looking also for a good wide receiver too. I was lucky to pick up Samuel on the bench this week, or on the waiver wire this week. I thought he had a decent matchup against Tampa Bay, so I was pleasantly surprised. But Hopkins has been disappointing. And one thing I've realized with receivers is that a lot of the second-tier receivers have been good this year. Gallup is one of them prior to last week.
Of course.
Who else? Will Fuller is another one who had few big weeks. Valdez Scantling in the first couple weeks, because I feel like they don't get the hardest cover from the defense. So I think going forward that might be a good strategy to implement.
That's certainly one that we have implemented. So let's talk. So you have a big matchup coming up this week.
I do.
We are not on the regular podcast, so as a guest, you are free to give bulletin board material and talk about the team. We are not the NBA, and we are not China. You can say whatever you would like about this upcoming matchup.
Running back concerns me a lot in this matchup. My best running back, Nick Chubb, cannot play, and I am praying that Gurley is a good go for this week. Deshaun Watson has been putting up a lot of points. I'm always weary that he's going to run for a few touchdowns and rack up some points there. Rodgers has been a little bit disappointing. Especially now that he has a lot of injuries on his receiving core. I'm ready for Hopkins to put up a 30-plus point performance. It hasn't been since week 1. He's been very mediocre, to be honest with you. Anyone against the Dolphins, I guess I'll start. I mean, they're so atrocious. So I'm going to look at my Buffalo players, John Brown and Frank Gore. But if Singletary comes back, that might not be a great option.
Especially since he has Singletary.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It would be another fortuitous thing that perhaps the Yahoo algorithms just foresaw when they selected this team as their number 1 pick overall.
Predicting injuries and return from injuries.
I know. It's uncanny. It's uncanny.
I've also been a little bit disappointed with Kelsey. I think going into the season, he was probably the best tight end out there. But he hasn't really lived up to that this year. So I'm hoping, they've lost 2 games in a row, the Chiefs. I'm hoping for a better offensive performance against a division rival. So if I can start the game off strong on that Thursday night, that would be excellent. Ingram against Arizona, I'm hoping he plays, but he was better when Eli was out there instead of Daniel Jones, so I'm a little bit worried about that. Another 21-point performance from Prater would be nice. The reason why I picked him up I actually paid money for him on the waiver wire because he has the highest percentage of 50-yard field goals converted this year.
Oh, wow. So Samuel and Prater were excellent pickups. So, you're free agency savvy. Did you get that from previous fantasy leagues that you were in?
I've never won a previous fantasy league, but I think the fact that I'm playing with people who are super competitive actually drives my competitive spirit up.
Gotcha.
When other people don't care, I don't care as much. So
when you're playing Zamunda, is that more like
I think also the fact that I'm on this podcast may enhance it because I know you two are extremely competitive and you probably will make fun of me if I don't win. So
well, you haven't had to worry about
we'll make fun of ourselves. I mean, you should have heard Geese all last season. He was making fun of how horrible his team was. We're not immune from our own criticisms either. Also, by the way, we were the one. I was just looking back at this. Apparently, we were the ones who gave the last place teams their win. I gave Eugene his win. You gave Nick and Jamie his win. I mean, I think Nick and Jamie gave Zamunda their only win, but other than that, I mean, you gave the Monkeys their win, Geese, or one of their 2 wins. I mean, so we're certainly not immune from criticism and that having to eat crow.
Absolutely. If I deserve it, feel free to give it to me.
Oh, we will. do you think about the possibility? I mean, like, so the possibilities of what we could have. I mean, because in all honesty, I don't. It's one of these weird things. So in the history of this league, every single first place team has gone on to win the championship except for one. That one
being one of the Hacketown teams on this podcast.
Yeah, that one being one of the Hacketown teams on this podcast, and the other end of it is somebody who still is not over that loss, which is me. Yes. And so the second play. I mean, I think the runner up every year, other than that one year, has been the loser in the finals. So do you? I mean, it's weird that is the case, but first place in and of itself does not necessarily mean anything other than a bye, but you can still get a bye with the second place team. So how much importance do you put on first place or
to win the league? I put very little, to be honest with you. Every other fantasy league I've been in, the first place team hasn't won the league, and I've actually talked to Geza a little bit at work about the home field advantage rule. I thought the team with the better record during the regular season should get like a free 5 points to start the playoff game. I always thought that was good and it would reward you but I didn't know the history of your league, how always the first place team won. But I play every week to win, especially because we get $5 every win we. My symbol is money for a reason.
There you go.
But yeah, to win the league, I don't prioritize being in first place. I think if you have a good team, you can win if you finish 6th. And it's a lot about injuries at that time of the year, about playoff positioning, matchups.
Drive my whole season.
Yeah, I do think the Hagglers still have a chance.
Yeah, banana peels.
Yeah.
No, I think it's possible. It's been proven that it's possible right in my face. But yes, no, I mean, just to give you the history, basically the first place team every year has just been kind of just so dominant that, and whoever, I mean, there have been 6th place teams that have faced them. There's been upsets in the wild card round. But just that combined with the extra week to prepare, because, I mean, you're talking about very competitive people, so then they're sitting there. If they have an extra week to prepare, don't even think about the defense. Because if you're in the wild card round, you're just trying to survive. Well, the team that's just sitting there that has nothing better to do but pick up defenses 2 weeks in advance. Go, who are the Dolphins playing in week? They could just move people down. They could do. There's so many little screw you moves that can happen just from having the bye that you don't even think of. You could plan your whole team for 2 weeks in advance, and you're not in a dogfight like other people are, and you could just pick and choose what you want. That it does end up being an advantage in this league. I think maybe perhaps in the other leagues why it's not an advantage is because they don't think of it. It's not all that they think about day and night.
What do you think of that home field advantage rule?
I think it's. I think it's fine. I think it's something to be proposed next season. I'm all for proposals.
Kind of like a home field advantage kind of thing.
No, I get it.
And be rewarded for having a great regular season.
I'm non-committal on it. I'm neither for it nor I'm not opposed to it necessarily. But like all things in the center, it takes a campaign and a Herculean effort to get any bill passed. It's like the Congress of the United States. But certainly we have the balloting period next year. Put it on the ballot. We'll see. But it's an interesting thought. I mean, because that's the other thing. Well, you didn't really get exposed this year because there were no proposals that were put on the ballot. Although I think there might be things for next year. In addition to that, maybe. But yeah, that also gets. It's not only competitive there. It's not that it's competitive, but people are very, very opinionated. So you weren't really exposed to that aspect of it yet. But people are very passionate about what rule changes they want and whatnot, and and some things they like. I mean, but like even the $5 back per game, that was a Herculean effort to get passed. Now everybody loves it now, I think, but also it taught me something tremendously valuable about politics, just regular politics. Because initially the way that it was proposed was that so the league fee used to be $35. And so the way that it was originally proposed was that you would pay $5 each week for a loss. And then that got rejected. People hated that idea. They didn't want to pay for a loss. They thought it was, whatever. So instead what we did was we raised the fee to $65 and then said you get $5 back per win. The math worked out exactly the same. But this time it passed overwhelmingly. The math was exactly the same. I mean, I don't remember. It might have been $30 was the fee at the time. Whatever it was. But we raised. So it just showed me the psychology of, oh, this is the death tax versus the estate tax. Like if you raise, it depends on how you frame it. So this is my advice to you: if you would like that passed, think about. Like a true politician, think about a way to sell it. Don't just never go into any kind of balloting procedure and think, oh, people just want this, or no, you have to fight like it's a campaign for a proposition. We've had people put stuff on the ballot. Team Voldemort, in fact, did this. I think after season 1, they proposed things, got it on the ballot, and then voted against it themselves. So, in fact, I think Nick and Jamie do have a rivalry with them stemming back from year 1, because there was, I forgot exactly. We'll have to have him on the program to talk about this, but in the first year there was something that he was doing that was undercutting what Nick and Jamie were doing, because Nick and Jamie were like on the waiver wire and everything else, and he fought to change the rules or something, and then he didn't. I don't remember how it is, but it's really interesting. So the rules in this league and the way that they get developed and everything else, and the campaigns that have to go through it, it's really fascinating. So that's another aspect of the league that you haven't even had to learn about this year, but it'll come, trust me. Let alone if anybody ever has to go to center court, which thankfully has not been used in 20 years.
I'm hoping to build some rivalries and kind of have
Who would you say is your biggest rival right now so far?
Oof. Probably that week where I had the closest victory in the center league history against the Zamunda Lions. Well, maybe not.
Was that against Zamunda?
This week has the potential to be a rivalry.
Yeah, in the making.
Yep.
I mean, that was a very close game against Zamunda. Surprised that it was that close. But I think at the time Zamunda had the better team.
I mean, I think that's sad. I mean, I think naturally, your other Hackettstown team has to be a natural rival right there. You guys haven't.
We've been talking about our Week 11 matchup at work quite a bit.
There you go. So there, I mean, right there is one rival. But I guess the rest of them they build up. They build up in weeks like the one that's upcoming, and they build up. I mean, like, because Geese, you wouldn't think. I mean, it was the same thing with Gaten Casimir. I mean, he came in. He was he had some history with the center because he played in a couple center bowls and stuff, and kicked our ass in every one of them. But he was Audwin's cousin, so you'd think naturally Audwin is his rival, and they are. But then out of the blue, Geese ends up being his rival, unbeknownst to him. But now that he knows it, now he's circling out on the calendar too. So it's always interesting to see what kind of, which kind of matchups lead to these kind of rivalries. And this game coming up certainly can be one.
Absolutely.
It just takes a situation or a moment or just one play that you needed to have. Somebody messed with you, and all of a sudden they become your rival.
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, we are about at the half an hour mark, which is where we generally try to be in these interviews, depending. Sometimes we're longer. I'd like to be at the half an hour mark. The times we've gone over the hour is the times that I feel like people should listen to this on a long flight. So this is perfect. Any other questions, Geese, that you want to ask him before we go?
Yeah, pretty much we covered everything.
All right. So this was good. We'll find another week where I'm too lazy to go ask people to be on the show, and I certainly will sit in the hot seat, or Geese, you can as well. I'm sure there's plenty of fascinating questions I have to ask for you, Geese. Like, who you looking to trade? No, I'm just kidding. All right. So, thank you, Manny, for sitting down for the interview.
Great. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure being in this fantasy league, and I look forward to meeting you guys all.
And
in person.
Yes, all of us likewise as well, except you'll probably never meet some of these people because we haven't seen. When was the last time you saw some of these people? Like, we had the Center Bowl like in his backyard, and he still didn't even show up. So yes, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you for being on. We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsor, and then go over next week's games and the standings and transactions. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. Is your roster packed to the gills with players that in reality aren't worth anything, but you're worried one day might be? Did you hear a radio host or friend talk someone up as a potential sleeper who's been asleep all right on your bench? Have you noticed your hoarding of players that had one good week is preventing you from going out and getting new players that also had one good week? Here at Zaveri's Warehouse, we have plenty of space to store those players that just aren't cutting it for your team, but that you don't want to make available for a real opponent. We even provide loaner players that have been kept in cryo-freeze so they're fresh and ready to make an impact on your team. So stop keeping players on your bench who wouldn't even play themselves and make room for your next big star. Zaveri's Warehouse. There's plenty of space down here at the bottom. All right, welcome back to the show. So it's time to go over the standings and some of the transactions. And I know some of us have some opinions on these transactions that took place, especially myself. I don't know. Do we want to do the transactions first, or would we like to go over the standings?
Well, let's go over the standings, because that's a little more innocuous for now. So
all right,
we can
sure.
get the critique on the transactions.
All right, so
quote unquote transactions.
Yes, all right. So in second place is Hackettstown's Finest at 5-1 with 809 points, followed by third place with the 1603ers at 4-2 and 397 points. Tillet Trey has 4-2 with 778. The Blues fall all the way down to fifth place at 4-2. So there's 3 4-2 teams there, but they only have 731 points. Then we get into the 3-3 bracket of the Lightning Rods and the Hagglers. The Lightning Rods having more points than the Hagglers there with 824. Yeah, I know. Well, after the point totals that he's been putting up, it does not surprise me. Then we get into the 2 and 4 segment, which is the 8th and 9th seeds. Which is the Wakanda Panthers and the Memphis Monkeys, with the Wakanda Panthers having an 8-point lead between the two of them, 740 to 732. And then we get into the 1 and 5 bracket. So 10, 11, and 12, rounded out 1 and 5. Dave Secret Crush having way more points than the other two, 746. The Garbage Barge, Nick and Jamie with 688, and Zamunda falling in all the way last at 640.44. And of course, the first place team is 6-0 with 788 points.
There is a team in first place.
There is indeed one. That will be playing the second place team this week. So it'll be a very interesting game. As far as the transactions on the waiver wire, any big names that went there? Let's see. Wow, there's so much that's happened since then. I have to scroll all the way down to look at this. Landry picked up for $23. Wow, look at that. Metcalf for $15. I don't understand the Landry drop, first of all, but I do understand the Landry pickup. I mean, 23 seems high, but whatever. At least he's spending some money. I don't begrudge the teams from doing that. What's interesting to me is that, who at the bottom? I mean, I guess Zamunda is spending some money, and by some money, I mean $4 on Clam Crowder, $2 on Lazard, and $1 on Fairbairn, the kicker.
Yes.
The Monkeys spent $1 on Sanu. Okay. Hackerstown's Finest spent $12 on which Thomas is this? I don't know. You get the most. All your players are either Brown, Thomas, or Johnson, and there's like 5 of each of them. Who's this?
It was Demarius Thomas, but I actually dropped him because someone dropped Emmanuel Sanders, who I thought was a better option.
Really? Have you seen what he's done? You really want that 1 point?
He's on my bench right now, but I think he might pick it up again. So he hasn't been good recently, but I have more hope for him than Demarius Thomas.
Okay, and you dropped it. You dropped one of your M Browns for him. So, also a Williams. I forgot Williams. D Williams was dropped for Clam Crowder. Okay, So Sanu was picked up by the Monkeys. I think that's a decent pickup. Bunch of drops and whatever, who cares? And then we get to the trade. St. Louis Blues trade away Melvin Gordon to the first place team for Brandon Cooks. What? My son works? What is this? You're giving Melvin Gordon to the first place team?
Brandon Cooks, I didn't really do the follow-up, but last time I saw he was in a concussion protocol. I mean, he might be good at that. Melvin Gordon, who's in a concussion protocol, it just seems a little questionable.
Yeah, didn't he get his bell rung? I mean, he got his bell run. He had 6.6 points in the Seattle game. Then he played San Francisco, got only 6.2. I mean, at 13, 20. I mean, this, the guy, 13, he had one game where he had 20 points, 16, and then 5.
The only thing I will say is Lombardi did post in their trading block. Those players were up for grabs. That was one of them. And he wanted a wide receiver, which he got. But it leaves us wide open for discussion about the quality.
Where is this trading block thing? I need to see it because Melvin Gordon was on the trading. What?
Last time. It was in the transactions last time. It's listed as trading block.
I gotta find this thing. Because I don't even see where it is. Facebook. Put your crap on Facebook. That's where people look in this league. Nobody looks on. I think you can message people. I don't know. I've done that with you, Manny. You can message people on here. I don't know. Where is I use the phone. I don't know where it is on. Maybe
it's literally under. I don't even know where the trading block is. But then again, I don't know how to pause the draft either.
Yeah. So whatever. I don't know. Whatever. He's finding all of these new things on here. All right, fine, whatever. So Melvin Gordon was on the trading block for him?
In the trading block section, whatever that was, yes. Maybe that just lists players you're interested in trading. That's all the trading.
I'm sure that's what it is. Like, this is who I want to get rid of. That's what it sounds like to me. And he put Melvin Gordon on there.
Why?
Why is Melvin Gordon on the trading block? And if he is, why is that all you're asking for? I mean, Melvin Gordon, I mean, he didn't have that great a game last week.
Yeah, the $60 man may have been a better trading option.
Yeah. Melvin Gordon. Oh, I can't even look on. This is just annoying to me. Let's see. Where is it? Okay. Melvin Gordon, who will be starting at running back this week for that new team. So he got 7.8 and 7.8. And now he plays a difficult defense. I don't care. See, this is one of the things that I was talking about yesterday when earlier in the broadcast. When I was saying a few minutes ago is what I mean.
Yes, exactly.
Right. When I was saying that when you are in first place or second place, when you have a good record like that, there's a lot of sitting on things that you can do. You can sit on a Melvin Gordon and be fine,
Look, most people who are competitive and trying to get into first place and whatnot don't just hand the first place team Melvin Gordons for Brandon Cooks. I think that's what we're trying to say.
I know.
I think we're just questioning the move in general. Maybe the coach will be on our podcast to go over the philosophy behind the move, what he was thinking at the time, and just why.
I mean, isn't Lombardi the coach that went on and on and on about tier ones and versus tier? This is why he wouldn't get rid of David Johnson last year when he sucked, because he considered him a tier 1 player and he wouldn't trade him for less than a tier 2 player in his mind, whatever he ranked that as and whatever. Like, you don't consider Melvin Gordon a tier 1 player or not in a better category than Cooks? Also, isn't he the one who laid into you that year that you traded away Le'Veon Bell?
Yes. I was
all season.
Yes, I received some pretty sharp criticisms.
Yeah, you were lambasted that year.
My question is, when Melvin Gordon wasn't playing this year, early in the year, he was on his bench, and now all of a sudden he's playing and wants to get rid of him. I don't understand that thought process.
I don't either. He's been just keeping him there forever just so he could so he can get himself some Brandon Cooks. I mean, that's what that was worth? That whole roster space has been Brandon Cooks?
Well, unfortunately, in the BHL, we used to call this the warehouse method.
Yes, this is how Harlutz Minari Groko versus Scottco developed. If you remember, going all the way back there. So for those who are not familiar, Scott I think Lombardi was part of his warehouse back then. Like he would basically use what?
I think he was actually.
Yeah, that's what started it. There was Scottco, where he just used people like him, and I think Mike Leon maybe, and I don't remember who the other ones were. Then there were a couple of independent teams that tried to whatever, and then there was the S Mart. I remember Sorrow was the S Mart. Shop Smart S Mart. And then there was Harlutz Minari Groko, which was you.
Right, we were the champions of good.
Right, yes, we were trying to battle evil, because we would use people as warehouse, but we would spread it out. Because so essentially, to explain the whole thing, if you don't remember, or for anybody who's new to this, because we had an auction also in the BHL, which is the Basement Hockey League, and you could, you got what?
You got 20 mil, I think it was, right? So
something like that.
Oh, Manny, we had a basement hockey league.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same concept. You got a salary cap and all the other jazz. So you'd be called a warehouse when a team that had no chance to win, all they would do is outbid the other teams in the league for players you wanted, and then trade them to you after the auction.
Yeah, because basically you get the players, but you'd have to play with them because you would play in video games. You physically have to play with these players. So whatever team you had, that was the team you had. And like Grossi, what was it? 27 million he paid for Lindros or something. I think it was 30 million was the cap. So he paid 27 million for Lindros, and he didn't give a crap, so he could. Whereas I wanted the player, and it screwed over my season. And you got to keep them. You had a 3-year contract on every player, and you had to keep them for 1 year at that price. Otherwise, you could re-release them into the auction. But anyway, so what would happen was that I think we pooled together because we figured if 30 million times like the 5 of us or something would be a huge cap room, and then we would just try to prevent because Scott would try to like warehouse these players. On like Lombardi's team or whatever, like these other losers. He's like, all right, give me those, and he ended up winning. He won the Semi Cup 3 years in a row. But he would do that, and then we just combined our resources, and then we usually stuck it to the LB. Just when here, Nick, here you take this person. Give me this guy. I need this guy for this game.
Anyway, so imagine like a McCaffrey. Somebody you can't afford to pay $100 for McCaffrey, so you have your warehouse bid on him. Get him for $100, and then just simply trade him to you. Auctions up. So,
oh man.
Then it becomes a handful of competitive teams, and then teams that are just literally a warehouse.
Okay. All
They
right.
only bid on who you tell them to. High as the dollar amount is, you don't care. You get that man, and then you just give him to me after the auction's over.
So Lombardi is the warehouse?
Currently, yes.
I guess.
Well, it reeks of warehousing. The new term I'd like to introduce into the center. I believe there's been some warehousing going on in this Melvin Gordon, Brandon Cooks trip. I can't quite put my finger on it, but let me just say it reeks of warehousing, which I hope is not the case. I hope Lombardi just wanted himself some Brandon Cooks. I don't know. I guess, nobody you had to be there.
Have you no pride? You were just fighting for first place last week, and you almost had it. You almost beat him.
I feel maybe he just wanted to witness another Eckler-Gordon battle in one of my games.
There you go. Yeah, well, I mean, look, they are still splitting time. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know when, but eventually you got to figure it's going to break in Gordon's in his favor. I mean, and I look, to defend Lombardi briefly, I will say that maybe he was tired of the timeshare there, and he already has running backs, right? Am I correct in that? I mean, he has them. He has Jones, who, by the way, one of the lesser of the, or becoming the lesser of the two, perhaps. I forgot to mention that you picked up Williams, didn't you? That Williams, or whatever, Damian Williams. The guy who I had for one play before he had a concussion. I didn't play him, but I had him on my bench for one play. And then you picked him up, right? Jamal Williams? Whatever, the other guy in Green Bay.
You actually had him?
I had him, and then he got the concussion. Like, I had him, he was on. I bid like $20 on him or something, or whatever it was. Maybe it was 10. I don't know. I bid for him. I had him. He played one play, got that concussion, and then I said, screw this mess. Goodbye. And got rid of him, and then he was gone because he was in the concussion protocol or whatever. He was in the hospital until he said he was Gucci on Twitter. And then now he's all Gucci on your team. No, so he's got Jones, all right. Coleman is fine. I mean, he still got Carlos Hyde. He didn't even play. I don't. What is St. Louis doing? Brandon Cooks, really? I mean, Keenan Allen, Metcalf. What's going on there? I mean, meanwhile, the first place Team Voldemort, pulls off another one. This is the second year in a row where he pulled off another Shafto Mundo.
I mean, you could put a bunch of stars next to this one. A Shafto trade, warehousing. But you know what? This is between two reputable teams, so
Yeah, I mean, this is after he offered me that whatever for McCaffrey deal.
they're from McCaffrey.
I didn't go for the McCaffrey for a Jabroni deal, but he did go for the Gordon for Jabroni deal.
Well, who's Voldemort's kicker? I'm surprised they didn't offer him the kicker for Melvin.
I know, exactly. Tucker's a pretty good kicker.
Yeah. Oh, he's too good.
He is.
He is too good. He doesn't want to give those kind of assets up. Why would you want to give up those kind of assets? And look, I mean, look, Mixon sucks. McCoy, man, he's got the other Williams, Damian Williams, or whatever, at in Kansas City. He still has Royce Freeman sitting there. Geis, he's got Geis on the IR. What the? I don't know.
I mean, the way the team we can't talk about.
And he's got Singletary. I mean, how many running backs is this guy? He has as many running backs as you do. The only difference is that yours are all backup waiting for banana peels to happen. And he at least, they all, all of his running backs can at least physically play.
Uh-huh.
I mean, his team, I mean, he hasn't put up nearly as many points as you, for example. So, I mean, I think he's been benefiting from an easy schedule. And I think his schedule does get a little harder going forward. So
starting this week, are you giving him some bulletin board material? Ooh.
No, not yet.
I believe it gets a little bit harder this week as he plays me.
This Sunday, right?
This Sunday.
Well, I hope so. I hope so for his sake.
Well, for your sake, for his sake,
for my sake, yeah. Right, exactly.
All right, well, we'll see. Otherwise, why does he have Geis? Is Geis, are they even talking about Geis coming back? Why do you want anybody on that Redskins team? Could return to practice next week. Ooh, woo, big man on campus, Geis. Yeah, and then as far as other... Minshew got dropped for Daniel Jones. Wait a minute. How did Wakanda drop Minshew for a quarterback he already had? Didn't he have Daniel Jones?
Figure out what hockey's doing over there.
He literally, I guess he dropped Daniel Jones to pick him. I don't even understand what's happening. What is Wakanda doing? Did he pick up another quarterback this week? I'm sure he needs one. He loves picking up quarterbacks when everybody else is bleeding. Fells, he picked up the tight end. And Murray, the running back. Whatever. I don't know. All right, we can get into this with when we get into each of the games. So I guess that. So any other comments on any of the transactions or of the standings? I mean, yeah. So the standings basically break down to 1 6-0 team, 1 5-1 team, who is playing the 6-0 team, and then 3 4-2 teams, and then there's 2 3-3. So 3-3 right now gets you into the playoffs. Well, could. That's the.
I'm coming for you, Lightning Rods. You better watch your back.
Yeah, the two rivals. Ooh. 3-3 is right now the mark. The dividing line of what could make the playoffs and what can't. Under that, the 2 and 4s. I mean, Wakanda and the Monkeys. That seems about right that they would be in lockstep league together. They just traded, Cooper Kupp for Saquon. See how that works out. It's lowering both of them, and then like we said, the 1 and 5 teams that are. I mean, they're on the edge. They got to win out basically. Because as 7 losses and you're done. 6, you get to 7 and 6 and you're playing for points. So really, Eugene has one more loss if he wants to have any shot at this, and he still got to, and he still has to have points on top of that. So we'll see if it starts this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, any other comments about that?
No, I think that pretty much covers the standings.
All right. Well, let's see if Eugene is actually going to survive or be taken out by the Wakanda Panthers, as that's who he plays this week. Interesting game. Right now, the projection is 115 to 112 in favor of Eugene. Gentlemen, what do you think about this game? Do you think Eugene gets roundly escorted out by the Wakanda Panthers, or do you think this is a must-win game kind of for both of these teams?
I mean, that's what I was alluding to a couple of minutes ago in our last segment. This is a very big matchup for both of these teams. I mean, loser is basically fried. I mean, Wakanda would be 2-5. I mean, that's at this point in the season, we're getting into the second half, people. So the margin for error is getting a lot slimmer. Needless to say, obviously, if Eugene rights the ship, so to speak, at 2-5, I mean, starts to get moving in the right direction. I mean, Wakanda's really got to what can he do? All of his players are injured. I don't know how many games he lost by just sheer injury alone. He can barely field the team. I mean, the loser of this game is especially in a really bad spot. I mean, and Eugene basically at 1-6, your back is against the wall. You cannot lose.
Yeah, that will be it. If he loses this game, that's it. He needs to win out. He needs to run the table after that.
Oh, yes.
If Wakanda loses this, then he puts himself in the position where he really also only has one more loss after that too.
But Wakanda has been managing the headache of trying to field a team all season long. I mean, to go down to 2-5. I don't know.
And he had a ton of points. I mean, he's kind of lost a step when he had that 78 week, and then with all it's finally catching up to him. I don't know. He finally had his first non-injury week last week. None of his players got injured. I mean, that's because he traded away Disley just in time to not be injured on his bench or on his team. But I don't know. Maybe this is a sign of good things to come. I don't know. Any of these matchups in this game? I mean, do you think Cooper Kupp? I think he bounces back in this game versus Atlanta.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Hopefully it's him and not Brandon Cooks.
That'll actually be hilarious if, after all of this trash talking, Brandon Cooks goes off. Of course he will, because he's playing Atlanta. He's going to have a good week this week. Don't judge it based on this week. I refuse to eat any crow next week because of what Brandon Cooks does against Atlanta. It doesn't count. Talk to me in 2 weeks. Talk to me in 3 weeks. I don't want to see the posts on Facebook. Told you so. Look at how great he is. Yeah, he played Atlanta. He didn't even play a defense. Gaze's cat could beat the Atlanta defense.
Remember that all season long last year?
I know.
Wakanda's games always comes down to the New England defense. That's what it seems like. If they put up a 20-plus point performance, he has a chance to win. If not,
yeah, but that's his only chance. His defense right now is averaging a third of his score.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And they're playing the Jets this week.
Eugene doesn't have to worry about making a coaching blunder on which Tampa Bay receiver to play this week.
Right.
Oh, are they both out?
They're both out. It's a bye week for them.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah, I mean, Thielen against Detroit. I mean, Amari Cooper, he's still listed as questionable. He's not practicing. He's got a quad injury. Devontae Adams, he's listed as did not practice on Wednesday, which does not look good for the week to come. So they both have wide receiver twos that are questionable and very well might not play. Which it's worse for hockey if that happens, because at least Eugene can replace him.
No, Adams is not in his starting lineup, is he?
Yeah, he is.
He is.
What are you doing?
Yeah, he's in the starting lineup. His lineup is Daniel Jones against Arizona. Okay, I'm fine with that. Cooper at Atlanta, I think that's a good pick. Then Adams, Ingram at Seattle, Michelle at the Jets, Fells, the tight end at Houston. I mean, he had a good week last week. He had a good week the last 2 weeks, so that's not a bad pickup. He also has Deshaun Jackson in there. This is all largely Deshaun Jackson did not practice again, but runs off to side. Deshaun Jackson abdomen remained sidelined at Wednesday's practice. Coach Doug Peterson said Jackson doesn't have to practice this week in order to play Sunday night. Oh, that's great. That's what you want to hear. Jackson was running on a side field Wednesday. He was on the short bus. Matt Collins simply hasn't been getting it done. Peterson said it will likely be a comfort thing for Jackson when he decides to return, when he feels comfortable returning.
Well, we'll be there to comfort Dr. Hockey after this week's loss.
Yeah, I mean, so he's going to have to replace two. I mean, let's be honest. Jackson and Adams are not playing. I know this is like, maybe he's just trying to, it's like the secret where you just put it out there and then hopefully it happens. No, these two are not playing. Do not get fooled by Adams or Jackson in his lineup. It's going to be Pringle, and it might be Dorsett. Is Watkins out too? When did that happen? Watkins got injured also?
He had a good week 1, and then it all went downhill.
Yeah, he has a hamstring injury. Oh, my God. Get rid of Pringle. Get rid of Pringle right now. I'm going to tell you hockey right now. Get rid of Pringle because you are going to need to use whoever you're going to use in that spot as a wide receiver for this week. Why did you not spend money on Jordan Landry? Did he bid on him at least?
I would hope so.
Where's the thing? Actually, I have to look at this. Did hockey bid on Jordan Landry? Because that would at least make sense. Because I'm looking this up. Let's see. Bear with me. I'll go entertain the people for a second while I look this up.
Well, hockey did offer me Devontae Adams last week in a desperation Hail Mary, but the report was just very sketchy. No timetable for return was the headline everywhere. So, I just didn't feel good about that. I mean, the guy's got turf toe. Turf toe. I mean, you can be out all season.
I don't see any. So Crowder, it was one in a $4 bid. The Lions bid $2. What? How did the Zamunda outbid himself? I don't even understand this. So the Zamunda Lions bid $2, but they got him for $4. What?
And that is my opponent this week. So
I don't even understand that. I mean, have you seen, go to the transactions, go to the free agency the bids thing. Jamison Crowder, $4, the winning bid awarded to the Zamunda Lions. Then there was also a bid by the Zamunda Lions for $2.
Nice.
Lazard was given to the. Who is this Lazard?
Yeah, he must have gone to his roster and then did it twice, literally. Because you have to go, you have to bid on the. I don't know.
I don't even know how that happens. All right, so DK Metcalf was won by the Blues, outbidding the Monkeys, who bid only $1. Why is hockey not in on that bidding? He's a wide receiver. There was bidding for. Oh wait, but this is old. So they weren't contest. No, because the Minshew thing that was 2 weeks ago. No, it wasn't even contested.
Nope.
It wasn't even contested.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Which means that Landry just went... He didn't even try to get Landry.
I regret that now. Because I didn't think he would ever be on the waiver wire. I should have been looking.
I didn't think Jamal Williams would have been available. I regret that.
Yeah.
And you know that anybody that I pick up has to be for free because I'm down to $0.
Yeah. No, I saw that. I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, that was a good pickup. I'm surprised nobody bid on him.
I gotta start waking up at 3 a.m. I'm gonna start setting my alarm now. This is getting ridiculous.
I'm gonna have to be exonerated for any wrongdoing for picking up players in free agency. I have $0, everyone.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Anybody could have just bid literally $1 and you would have been fine. But and I should have. But in retrospect, I probably should have for those players. I just didn't even bother. I was like, it's fine. I don't care. Nobody, I mean, so whatever. All right. Well, back to this game. So, who are we picking in this game? This is a kind of I think Eugene actually wins this one just because hockey doesn't. Those two of those players. I mean, the projection right now is a 3-point advantage for Eugene, and that's if his two players play, which they're not going to. Yeah, you have to pick Eugene to win this game. I think I do.
I would at this point. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Hockey is he's really on the brink right now, and more so than any other team because of all the freaking injuries.
Yeah, no, I'm not blaming this on his coaching or anything else. I'm just saying, and Eugene has played really well the last 2 weeks, by the way. He lost by the 1 point to the Monkeys, and then he lost to the Lightning Rods, who ended up getting 173 last week, and would have beaten any other team in the league that week. Eugene, I give this to Eugene.
I agree. Every week we picked him, though, he's lost.
Well, then I'm even happier to pick him. All right, let's move on to the next game. Where should we go in this glorious league?
Let's go to the Hagglers game.
All right.
The Zamunda
Check out
Lions.
Hagglers versus the Zamunda Lions.
I picked the Hagglers. Let's move on.
That was pretty easy.
All right, so the projection is 117 to 107 in favor of the Hagglers. Now, granted, right now there's no RB 2 in there because Connor is out. And of course, why would you address any of those needs when you could go out and get yourself Crowder and Lazard? I don't understand. Do people not? I don't understand. They're just like, I gotta get. I heard on Fantasy Football Focus you should go get this guy, and then they have to just stash that guy, even though it doesn't matter. It doesn't fit into their team scheming. It doesn't matter. They're just like, I heard it. I'm the only one who heard it because I'm the only one who watches or listens to Fantasy Football Focus with Matthew Berry. Nobody else listens. I got him. I'm so clever and wise. No, all the rest of us are listening to this shit too. I stopped listening actually because I don't care anymore. but I guarantee you, everybody else is. Everybody else heard the same shit. You're not any more clever. Look at your fucking roster and see what you need. That's all I care about. I don't care that you can pick somebody out of the cryo chamber.
If Matthew Berry was looking at this roster, he would be like, just drop Gronkowski.
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
I'm sure Matthew Berry originally at one point told him you got to go pick up Gronkowski. I hear rumors. Go pick him up. Go pick him up, and that's why he's on the team or whatever. I don't want to label him as a Matthew Berry guy, even though I'm sure he is. But I'm just saying it could be whatever football focused fantasy shit show that you listen to, whatever it is. I don't know. There's a million of them out there.
And why would you pick up Clam Crowder on a week that they're playing New England? Do you look at the matchup? I mean, that's very important in fantasy football.
I mean, but if he really wants to claim Crowder and he wants to keep him, then I'm fine with storing him for the future. I mean, when he's 1-6. But right now, you literally don't have a running back to play this week because you're running back.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was a little
true.
bit interested in who he was going to pick up, and he really didn't address those needs.
But
So
he's busy focusing on unnecessary crap. I just don't understand it. We need to use the LB as a warehouse again. I mean, look. All right, so Prescott's versus Phil. I mean, any of these matchups stand out? Let's see. Auden Tate versus Jackson. Jesus. No. Kamara's going against Chicago, so even his good running back, the one functional running back is playing Chicago. Kittle's in there. That should be Kittle should have a good game. Josh Gordon, he's still playing with him. I mean, all right, fine. Go throw in Crowder or Lazard. I don't even know who Lazard is. Did he have one good week? Is that what happened? Everybody's another one of these guys. One good week, 16.5 points with a touchdown. God, Nick, I love you, Nick, but God, you make all of the dumbest fantasy moves I've ever seen. Chasing a guy who hasn't done anything but gets a touchdown. He has 16.5 points, but you look at the box score. It's 5 targets, 4 receptions, 65 yards, and then a touchdown. That makes all the difference. You think Alan Lazard is going to, he's going to be a touchdown monster? I mean, maybe he will against Oakland. I don't know, but I don't understand. Take him out and just put in Lazard then. Whatever. Play Gronk at RB2. What? I don't even know what to tell you. I think Williams against I think Williams for the Hagglers is a good pickup. I think it gives you an RB Jamal Williams. That's what it is. I think it gives you some more depth at running back. Better than Drake, I think, going forward probably. So I think this is not a bad combo for the Le'Veon Bell and Jamal Williams combo.
We'll see. I didn't like Drake's Cakes had a lot of carries went to this other guy, Walton, who I've never even heard of. So that's not good. And the Bellagio got all the goal line carries. So I'm a little bit concerned about Drake's Cake. So that was why that was done. Again, for $0, what are you gonna say?
Yeah.
It's literally sitting in the dumpster.
I know the many goal line carries that Miami has. You picked up Stafford at quarterback. I think that's not bad. I mean, he has a tough matchup this week against Minnesota. So you're playing Hunter Henry this week at Tennessee.
I didn't even know he was activated.
That was very surprising that he put up 30 points.
Yeah,
in the world?
He was quite activated last week.
Yeah, he was quite active.
Yeah, so you are going with the jumbo package with Hooper and Henry.
Yeah, I'm going to follow Dr. Hockey's jumbo package model, so we'll see how that works out.
I'm following that model as well.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah,
two tight ends.
Also has 2 tight ends in the roster sometimes.
I love how everybody just is hurting for tight ends. Like there's just like a barren wasteland of white tight ends, and then everybody else flaunting their 2. the ones that have tight ends are like, here, I'm not just gonna go with one. I'm gonna go with the jumbo package. Meanwhile, somebody else is like, please, may I get a tight end? Just one.
It's one of my strategies, though. I do that in my other league as well, because there are so few good ones.
I know. Well, why not just load up on them like hockey loads up on quarterbacks? Just get them all. Just bid. I mean, you could probably with $200, you could probably get about 6 or 7 tight ends and just start trading away. Just tight end profiteering.
So you're benching Gallup this week.
Well, I had to put Cooper in there. The 2 tight end set. Somebody had to sit down.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald and Bell.
Fitzgerald against the Giants. Yeah, Tyreek Hill, of course. Yeah. I like your team now. I think you have.
We'll see. I mean, they tend to play down to the lower teams.
This is definitely one of the lower teams.
Okay.
You're gonna. I mean, I guess Nick, all confident. I don't even need an RB2 to beat you. You're only Haggeston.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So.
Hey, right. Your team got stacked all of a sudden. I hope it gets unstacked for week 11.
Well, there's injuries and buys, and we'll see what happens out there.
All right, we'll see.
Well, first of all, this isn't, how week to week, it's just this whole team could be in the dumpster for a whole other team.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. That's a good point.
And depending on how much space he needs, he might just, warehouse them over in Zamunda. If he feels the need to have a Kittle or Kamara. If he wants to run the 3 tight end set, if he could find a way. All right, so obviously the Hagglers. Anybody else picking Zamunda? Anybody want to be daring?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Geese, you going to pick Zamunda?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So, 3 agreements there. Where shall we go next?
Oh, where do you want to?
Let's just go to the 1603ers versus Nick and Jamie.
The garbage barge matchup.
Yeah, this one's actually kind of close. So first of all, McCaffrey's on a bye this week, which I guess teams are trying to take advantage of by offering me ridiculous trades like, oh, he's out for this week. He might as well be non-existent. Just give him away for the rest of the season to me for nothing for a player that will play this week. No. Anyway, so the projection right now is 119 to 118 in favor of the 1603ers. So it does make a bit of a difference there. I don't know. Lamar Jackson against Seattle is kind of a difficult matchup. But Beasley versus Miami, that should be good for him. Kirk, I don't know what is happening with him. He's got an ankle thing, and they said only when he's comfortable coming back. But I would love to play him against the Giants. Will Fuller is questionable right now, so I've taken him out for now and put in Boyd instead. Kerryon Johnson has a difficult game against Minnesota. But Breda at least has a good matchup against Washington. Waller at Green Bay. Golden Tate at Arizona. I think that is a good matchup for him. And the Tennessee defense. I don't know. And my kicker, Sly. I can't even get points on the Sly this week. Picked up Big Manis, so I have a Thursday night game for my kicker. And this is a game where I have all 10 a.m. games, basically. I'm done, except for my defense after the early games on Sunday.
No, you got Lamar Jackson Sunday late game.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. All right. So I could pay attention a little bit in the afternoon. And Nick and Jamie, rarely does this happen, but they have some later games for themselves. They're usually the ones that are done at 10 a.m.
They're usually done, period.
Sure. Look, this is also a potential trap game. Look, I don't have a McCaffrey. That makes a huge difference in this. The matchups are not that favorable. I could see. I mean, Devonta Freeman has been on the rise. I could see things happening. I could see being upset in this game and being very upset.
Well, Hilton is back. I'm surprised Mac Attack didn't make the lineup.
Yeah, I would start the Mac Attack.
Especially Derrick Henry has been horrendous.
He has.
I wouldn't even mess with them.
Yeah, 4.3 last week.
Earlier in the season, I offered them DeAndre Hopkins for Derrick Henry. I'm glad. Whatever. That would have been a nightmare.
Yeah,
all right, so we got Waller going against Walker. Now, that's not a typo there. That's a very similar sound tight end matchup there. Waller's been amazing. He's one of those sneaky good tight ends this season. Although he's joining Andrews, though, in the cooldown department, which at least Dave should at least take note of if he's not concerned yet.
I have taken note of it, but whatever. I'm not ready to run the jumbo set. I'm good. I'll just run with one tight end that gets me a decent amount of points. It's good enough.
And then Cole Beasley. Interesting. Galladay. Watch out for that Galladay bastard.
He's playing, whatever. He's playing against,
So do you see this in any way as a trap game, Harbacken?
I just said that I do.
All right. You do see it. Okay.
It's absolutely. I mean, Nick and Jamie have a potential to beat me this week. First of all, the game's 50-50 right now. The projection.
Okay.
I think he should start Marlon Mack though. I don't think Henry's nearly as good as Marlon Mack.
I mean, I agree, but even if he starts Marlon Mack, I think it becomes a difficult game even if he doesn't.
And get that stinky, smelly Arizona defense out of there.
Yeah.
What in the world?
What are you doing there?
I mean, they're playing the Giants.
I mean, it is a garbage barn, so it does fit the theme, but
AJ Green might play. I don't know if he's reportedly day-to-day. Probably won't play this week. So that's an interesting position.
I was going to say, you plug that in right away, but...
Yeah, I mean, that would be very interesting, especially against Boyd. Although I actually ironically think that would help Boyd more than anything else because he does better as a slot receiver. I don't know. Yeah, this has the potential.
It's an interesting game.
Yeah, this has the potential. This is not just a walkover kind of game. I think that Nick and Jamie could possibly pull this one out. And I'm not just saying that. But the last time I said that I'm not just saying that, which I really was not just saying that, we scored 200 and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen again, especially with CMC out. That would be amazing if that does, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, all right. So, who are you guys picking in this game?
I'd pick 1603ers.
I'm going to go with the 1603ers as well.
All right. Well, I never pick myself, so I'm picking Nick and Jamie. Congratulations. Let's move on to the next game. Well, we've gotten all of the tremendously boring ones out of the way. Let's go to the Blues versus Tillett Trey team. The newly revamped Blues without Melvin Gordon. This is actually a really interesting and important game, actually. So right now the projection is 137 to 124 in favor of Tillett. And if Tillett wins this, which we can go over the individual numbers, but I mean, if he wins this and Lombardi loses, I mean, we're talking about a monumental collapse. He was in first place 3 weeks ago. He will be out of a playoff spot most likely in 3 weeks. Wow. Which we had been saying a lot about his schedule, and this will really show that, like, what can happen when that bubble bursts when you no longer have an easy schedule. I don't think that the same necessarily applies to the Whalers, just because I do think that I'm sorry, against Team Voldemort, but I do think that they have made some good moves, and they have, when they've had some competition, they have played up to them, but I don't know. We'll see. So
I look at Team Voldemort as like that. Remember that old Donkey Kong game where Donkey Kong's sitting at the top rolling barrels down at everybody? Gotta get that feeling right now that's what he's doing. And some teams can jump because they hit the jump button. Other teams just get knocked off. Rolling barrels down the way at everybody.
That's pretty much what it's like. And they rolled a barrel down at St. Louis. They could not jump.
Right, and they fell over the barrel. Melvin Gordon for Cooks. All right, let's see how that pans out.
Donkey Kong also throws banana peels too, not only barrels.
Yes, banana peels. Your favorite. So Mahomes at Denver on Thursday night. I think he's gonna have a bad game. Keenan Allen, what happened to this guy? I mean, he was fantastic, and now he is not. 5.3, 5.8, and 9.8 the last couple games, including a 9.8 against Miami. What the F? Now he's playing Tennessee, who's a good defense. Yikes. He picked up the new Metcalf. Let's see what this guy. What does Metcalf do for you? I mean, he's had 11, 12 the last couple weeks, and now he plays ball. Okay, fine, Metcalf. Coleman, I think he'll have a good game against Washington. Aaron Jones, I think he's on the way out. I think. I mean, I think that he'll do. He'll slowly be phased out, but I think they're going with Williams more. Wasn't there like a fumble involved or something that? Yeah.
Well, he dropped a surefire touchdown of 33 yards, and then he fumbled, and then it was pretty much.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff that. Yeah. This guy he's toxic. It's the kind of thing that I look at like, oh no, this is happening to my running back. He should have either gone out and gotten himself Williams to like at least buffer that, or I don't know, maybe keep a Melvin Gordon. I don't know, whatever. But now he might have only one running back, which is Tevin Coleman, which is a running back in the committee. I just, man, Andrews against Seattle. He actually, I mean, it's a situation where tight ends could do well, and then Cooks will have a good game against Atlanta. He should, at least I would think so.
That's the ironic thing. Cooks will actually have a good game this week.
Yeah, Cooks might actually be the only player on this team that has a good week, ironically.
But the problem is that the Rams, they have so many options on that team. They got Kupp and Woods. So it's a crapshoot who's going to do well.
Yeah, but they all get like 30 points because there's like a million fucking targets for all these guys. So, I mean, that's not necessarily a problem. I think he'll still get points.
He'll get points, but he might not get a lot because it's very rare that like all three of them do well.
Yeah. I mean, it's usually two of them do well, and then one of the, but they rotate which week the guy's going to do well. But I still think that he'll do well this week. I think he's going to be the only player that does well this week. Ironically.
Yeah.
Which is why I say don't come to me with your comments next week that oh look, Cooks was the only thing that did well in my horrid game that I got blown out by Tillett trade team. See, I should have made the trade. No, I'm talking about long term. You're going to need a running back when Aaron Jones is crap.
I do think Mahomes will have a bounce back game. I think they need to win that game. Kansas City's lost 2 straight, so I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up like 35, 40 points.
Denver's maybe, but I mean Denver's tough. It's a short win. I don't know. I would play Carlos Hyde instead of Jones, by the way. All right, Kyler Murray going at the Giants. He'll probably have a good game. Antonio, or what do you call it? Julio Jones at the Rams. McLaurin, he's finally playing McLaurin again. That's actually a good play, probably. David Johnson at the Giants. That's good. Fournette at Cincinnati. Oh, that's good.
That's good.
Garrett Everett. Didn't he have another tight end? Oh, Herndon is still sitting on the poor guy. He picked up Herndon. It was like actually a good move, and he's still not playing. Oh my god. So Garrett Everett, he might get some targets against Atlanta. I don't know. We'll see. He had actually a bunch of targets in that Seattle game where everybody got a ton of points. So maybe it's possible. Chark at Cincinnati. That's a field day too. Zerline. I mean, come on, Tillett. Trey.
The Buffalo defense against Miami too.
I know. Oh, Tillett is going to have a good week. Let me tell you. I don't know if Cooks can make up for all of that, but
Fournette has been really good the last couple weeks, and he has so many carries.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
29, 23, and 20 the last couple weeks.
Yeah, he's out there all the time.
Crazy. Yeah.
So anybody want to go and pick the Blues?
No.
Not against Tillett. With the matchups this week, I like Tillett Trey.
Yeah. I mean, Tillett is going to...
I would not want to be playing him this week.
No, I would not want to either. And he's, by the way, he's in 4th place. You know, who knows what happens. He could either move up, he could stay where he is, but I mean, these are two of the 3 4-2 teams are playing each other this week. So it leaves an opportunity for one of the other teams to just swoop right in there and just knock him down. I mean, he could find himself from 1st to like 8th after this week, depending on what happens. It's brutal what's happening in St. Louis.
Well, yeah, this goes in line with the Dr. Hockey Eugene game. Like, the loser of this game, it goes in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
So.
Although I do, if Tillett were to lose this game, I think that they have better weapons. Going forward, I would be very concerned if I was of the Blues, just because of what's been happening and what they've given away and stuff like that. All right, so we're all picking Tillett.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Speaking of the Lightning Rods, all right, so we have the Lightning Rods against the Monkeys. The Monkeys are favored in this one, 123.66 to 121.99. What's going on there? Matt Ryan at the Rams, Marvin Jones Jr. versus Minnesota, Valdez Scantling versus Oakland. I actually think that's a good play. Dalvin Cook at Detroit, I think that's good. James White at the Jets, Jimmy Graham versus Oakland. Is he getting Saquon back? Is Saquon going to be playing? He's practicing fully for the Giants. Look at this. The newly... he only had to wait a week? Pretty good, then.
Wow.
Crosby and Los Angeles. This actually throws a Memphis monkey wrench in this whole game. Look at that.
Wow.
I know. Russell Wilson versus Baltimore. Robert Woods at Atlanta. I think Woods will have a good game, as I think that all of the Rams receivers will. Diggs, who had that total last week at Detroit. Then Elliott versus Philadelphia. Lindsey versus Kansas City. Font. I think he'll once again be lowercase font against Kansas City. And Edelman at the Jets, Butker, and the Denver defense. The Barkley thing makes this a very interesting game.
The Monkeys are loaded at running back. Damn. Loaded. Dalvin Cook and Saquon. And to have James White there as well. Oof.
Yeah, and if Valdez Scantling can do any... Oh, this is such a good game. I gotta say, this should be the flex Sunday night game of the week. My God, this is great. I mean, and what's at stake for a lot of these teams? I mean, the Lightning Rods are 3-3, Monkeys are 2-4. I mean, they could be right down. This is such.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be a big Monkeys fan this week.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the Hagglers can swoop right in there too if that happens. Ooh, this makes it so interesting if the Monkeys were to win this game. And I think that they have a legitimate shot at that making that happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pick the Monkeys.
What?
I am too.
What?
Yeah. James White
I
against the
like
Jets,
God's been putting
Dalvin
up-
Cook at Detroit, and Barkley in there. Who even
Against Arizona.
Yeah, and Valdez Scantling playing against Oakland, and I mean, is Valdez Scantling actually gonna? Well, he didn't practice. Let's see if he. Well, that could make a difference. And he has 3 empty bench spots, so he could pick up somebody to put in there. He really should not have gotten rid of Jordan Landry, but whatever. In any case,
Marvin Jones Jr. hasn't been that great lately.
does it matter when you have that running back core? You just need. I mean, what did Marvin Jones Jr. got? He got 3.7. Yeah, that's not gonna do shit.
Yeah. I mean, I might consider playing Sanu, but is Jalen Ramsey playing for the Rams this week?
I don't know. I mean,
But he would be covering Julio, so that might
exactly.
be a
That would
play.
open up some. That would open up some space for Sanu.
Sanu, exactly.
Yeah, go play him.
Yeah, I would consider that. But yeah, I'm gonna pick the Monkeys as well. I think I love their running back core.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, my God, look at how fast that happened. I mean, and look, he said last week when he was on the program, he said he felt like he was going to lose to Hackettstown's Finest, which he did. So he was going to sacrifice that week, and hopefully,
he lost thanks to my kicker.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I think maybe his bold strategy, Cotton, paid off.
Well, this is a big game. The Haggles will be watching this very closely because I do like the Monkeys with their running back core, but overall, most of it is kind of. Graham is Crosby. The Chargers' defense against Tennessee is pretty good because they're horrendous, but. Is Lightning Rod's going to bring Chicago back into the picture? Do they still on a bye? Let me see.
No, he's got to bring.
Oh no, that's against New Orleans though. Denver, KC. Maybe you yank Denver out of there.
Yeah, he better do that. And it's a Thursday night game. Yeah, the Chicago defense can make a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
It does, especially all right. Look, like going up and down the lineup, especially when you have. Woods will have a good game. Diggs will have a good game probably, and then Elliott will have a decent game, as will Lindsey.
Gotta put the
and
Chicago
Edelman.
defense in there, though.
All right, maybe I'll revise. This is such a close game. It's gonna be a close game either way. You know what? I'm gonna revise. I'm gonna say that the Lightning Rods are gonna win, but because I think they will put in the Chicago defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lightning Rods on this one. Monkeys may be interesting, but ultimately Chicago's defense puts them over the top.
Yeah. It'll be interesting though if the Monkeys can pull this out though. That'll completely upend the standings down there, and it's already a dogfight, but it'll really be a dogfight for those playoff spots. But as far as games to watch, this is certainly one of the games of the weeks to watch.
Yeah, this is a really good one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that leaves us with one final game, I believe, right? The Hackettstown's Finest plays the first place team this week. They are projected to be in the lead, 127 to 125 against Team Voldemort. I see a lot of
Q's.
red Q's
Yeah,
going down
I don't
the
like that
Finest
either.
lineup. What is going on there?
My phone was blowing up with questionable. It's like it wasn't a fun day.
And there's a lot of so there's a lot of buys on the bench. Edmonds, I don't even know. Is that the car review website?
Yeah, that's that's a David Johnson backup.
Okay.
So, and David Johnson has kind of been injury prone, so I was like, I should probably pick him up.
Sure.
Well, you can't question your moves thus far. You've been flawless almost.
Except against the
Thank you.
Let's see. Well, Aaron Rodgers. How severe are these questionables? It doesn't look like DeAndre Hopkins is that bad. John Brown, groin limited Wednesday.
Yeah, he was on a bye last week. I mean, he should be fine. Come on.
He should be fine. I would think so, but we'll see. All right. I mean, he's playing Miami. If he can play, let's assume that these guys are going to play. This obviously changes if they don't. Rodgers versus Oakland, I think that's a decent matchup. Hopkins at Indianapolis, I think that's a good matchup. Brown versus Miami, that's fantastic. Eckler at Tennessee, that's not great. Is Gurley?
Gurley is very iffy. I don't know. He's set to practice on Wednesday, so I think he might play.
Maybe. I don't have that much confidence in him anyway. Evan Ingram versus Arizona, he could have a good game.
Yep.
Prater and you're going with the Jacksonville defense at Cincinnati. That's a good pick because Cincinnati gives it up on that line. All right. Then for the other team, it's Deshaun Watson at Indianapolis. So here's something interesting. It's one of those situations where his quarterback will probably be throwing to your wide receiver. So that's always good. Although he does have a quarterback that does have the potential to run it in. So you got to watch for that. Tyler Lockett versus Baltimore. He could be shut down because Baltimore can shut down some receivers. Michael Thomas at Chicago. Oof.
Tough matchup.
Yeah. Singletary versus Miami. Not tough matchup.
No.
Melvin Gordon at Tennessee. That's kind of a tough matchup. Ertz at Dallas. Robinson versus New Orleans. And Tucker at Seattle. And the Rams defense at Atlanta. That's theoretically an okay play. I don't know. Ooh, this is actually. I mean, this is a good matchup. I don't know. I mean, because you both have a mix of some tough matchups and some, and some good matchups. Like,
I'm actually thinking of playing Josh Allen against Miami because then I get the twofers with John Brown if he plays.
And he's playing Miami. I mean, you play everybody against Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad play.
But, playing Rodgers against Oakland is not a tough matchup either. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. And it all depends on the cues, If Gurley is very iffy.
Yeah, I mean, but doesn't also does Rodgers? I mean, isn't there a bunch of injuries over there in Green Bay? He's dealing with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They have a very injury-hampered wide receiver core.
I think I would go with Allen, but that's just me. I don't know. Man, this is a tough game. I don't know, Geese. What do you think?
I gotta go with. I mean, Hackettstown Finest in both ways. They're both riding the hot hands right now. I gotta go with Singletary, Gordon, Ertz, Gurley, Eckler. I mean, the running back situation for the Finest might be a problem. If there's any kink in the armor, like you said, you need Hopkins to bust out a big game.
Yeah, but even if he does, then those points are also going to go to his quarterback.
Yes. Yeah, true. Ooh, that does neutralize it there. With the tough matchup with Michael Thomas, I mean, this is almost split 50-50 right here.
I mean, it is, literally, according to the algorithms.
Yeah, if Gurley doesn't go, I'll probably have to put Peterson in there. But he's playing San Francisco, so that's bad too. I mean, I have
Peterson versus defense.
I might end up going with Chase Edmonds actually as Johnson's backup. Hopefully, he can get a couple touchdowns on the goal line. But yeah, not having Chubb in there really hurts me.
Yeah, that's true. This is his bye week. What a bad week to have him on the bye.
Yeah, I know.
Does Team Voldemort have any buys? I mean, Landry, who he just picked up, so I don't really count that. No. Wow. I mean, we talked about how Yahoo picked them, just based on week-to-week matchups. They knew something. Yeah, I just think having Chubb on the bye, I think Eckler, Tennessee is tough. I mean, Todd Gurley, yikes. the Hopkins is where you might generate some points, but that's going to be taken away by Watson. I think I go with Team Voldemort. I think they keep continue. I don't want to. I don't want to see them roll to 7-0 and be a braggart and then still have Gordon. But this is a tough week.
Yeah, it's tough week for me.
Yeah, I hate to do this, but I gotta hedge right now towards Voldemort. Not by much, mind you, but in the overall scheme of things, Ingram though the two tight ends set. I don't know that might. This is a very tough game to pick. This might be
the two tight ends have good matchups, so yeah. I'm gonna ride them high.
This might be the toughest pick of the year.
Of the year?
I'm gonna go thus far of the season thus far. I'm gonna go with the Hackettstown's finest.
You are gonna pick them? Really? Wow, that's a bold move, Cotton. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Team Voldemort. I don't like to. It's not, but if I'm just looking at it objectively, I think that they have.
I'm gonna go with Team Voldemort as well. I think it's just tough with Chubb on the bench this week. If Prater can get me another 21-point performance would be nice. And, Jacksonville's defense against Cincinnati, I need some turnovers there.
Which you might get.
So, yeah. Jacksonville's defense is actually pretty decent. And they held New Orleans to only, 13 points last week. So
yeah, they're pretty decent, and Cincinnati is pretty terrible. Yeah, I mean, look, the game is interesting. Special teams can certainly, play a factor in this. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I just think.
I'm just really hoping that Gurley plays.
But based on your own prediction, his tough schedule does not start this week yet.
Of course, he gets me when Chubb is on the bench. Of course. It's just the way this league works, huh?
Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much all of the games. Who do we have as the lock of the week? I think that is clearly Hackettstown versus Zamunda for me. I don't have any question. I will be shocked.
Agreed.
I gotta go with. I mean, yes. You hate to do that when you're playing, but I gotta go with myself as lock of the week. I mean, if we lose to the Zamunda Lions, this whole team might be in the dumpster.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
I'm gonna ask you to do push-ups when you come into work.
Yeah, I'll have to take a good look in the mirror because that would be a problem.
As far as upset of the week, which of these games, based on their current projections, looks like the most likely to not turn out that way?
I actually think Tulare is kind of they're a close second place for lock of the week. They have great matchups this week.
They do too, but I mean it's nothing like that Zamunda one. Come on.
It's not. I agree.
I don't know. The upset of the week is very difficult. I guess
in this choosing these choices, yeah, upset of the week is kind of. Do the Blues upset Tulare again? I
don't think they're going to. I don't think. I mean, I guess technically, Voldemort versus the Finest, you're favored. I mean, I guess that would be my upset of the week if I'm just picking one out of the hat. I mean, I guess we could the Lightning Rods over the Monkeys. I guess that's an upset of the week, probably potentially.
Yeah, that's numbers wise, it does point that way.
I think that game and the Finest and Whalers, that's 2 games of the week.
Oh, yeah, those are absolutely the games of the week to watch. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else that we want to discuss this week before we go and leave everyone to their games?
Nope, I think that's...
Yep, I'm pretty good there, too. All right, so for our guest this week, which was you, thank you.
Yeah, it was great being on the show.
Yes. And yeah, for the rest of us, I think we're done. Have a great week. Good luck, everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
All right. See you next week, guys. Bye.